Guys have like some conversation. We got Jesus Christ.
Welcome to the Crosstown Adventure.
Okay, I'm gonna break down how the fuck we ended up on the JRE set. It was nuts. For those of you that are Joe Rogan fans and weren't expecting this show, I don't know how many of you guys out there are out there, but this show was supposed to happen in my studio. It was my master, Jacques Machado, is here, everybody. He agreed to do my show. I had to twist his arm. It took a while, but Jean-Jacques is like a superhero. He don't do no fucking podcast. So, but I twisted his arm, and we met at my studio. It was awesome. I wanted to surprise him with Todd White because, for those EBR fans out there that know the Todd White story, he's been on the podcast about a year ago. We had a lot of Jean-Jacques stories. Me and Todd White, we were main training partners growing up when I was white belt, blue belt, purple belt, all that shit. Me and Todd White, we were the competition dogs. We were the only ones generally competing. So it was perfect. And I didn't tell Jean-Jacques. Jean-Jacques shows up to my studio, and I said, I got a surprise for you. We have Slick Rick here tonight, brown belt, 10 planet brown belt. And of course, Rabu Dhabi's also here. He's just chilling. He's just gonna be filming and shit, walking around and shit, just walking around and filming and then sitting down, chumming in like fucking Paul McCartney. But so it was perfect. I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. And on my way to the studio, my friend Larry, my old friend, a guy I used to hang out with long ago, he just popped into my head. I'm like, why am I thinking about Larry? I get to the studio, Jean-Jacques there, and one of the first things he said goes, Eddie, how's Larry? I'm like, what the fuck? I thought that was very spooky. Anyway, it's crazy. But to bring him up, that was just, Anyways, so it was. I was really excited. It was on, and it's almost 8:00. We're supposed to start show at 8:00. I look over at Rob, and he's talking. They're trying to figure something out. Him and Slick Rick is a computer genius. They said we can't turn this computer on. And I was like, okay, turn that motherfucker on. Okay, hurry up. It's not working. It's not turning on. Turn that motherfucker up, please. And then I had to sit there, and now I'm shaking inside. I'm like, no, the screen just is fried. I turned that computer on and off 37 times. No joke. We just had heart like cabbage and shit in 2002. Heart. We just kept going. We kept getting shut down. Nothing. And I finally got to the point where Jean-Jacques, Todd White hired this photographer or it's one of his friends or something.
Chemo.
He got this Chemo. What's his name? Chemo?
Chemo Easterwood.
Yeah.
Famous photographer.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. And
he came over to take some pictures, and it's just falling apart. It's a disaster. We can't. Rabu Dhabi's on the phone with Zach. Zach's in Vegas pulling rabbits out of hats and shit. And they're trying to do tech support on speakerphone. We're turning it on and off. Press F8 75 times. Turn it on, turn it off. F8. And I'm like, how many times do I have to press F8? Keep pressing F8. Like, what are these weird codes? Oh no! And then Slick Rick is googling it. Try pressing F2 a bunch when you turn it on and turn it off. We're taking the battery out, putting it on, unplugging it, like what? And then finally we just thought, okay, this is not happening. Maybe it's so hard to get Todd White and Jean-Jacques and me together. The stars were aligned. I just felt how could it be so magical? It didn't make any sense to me.
Well,
how could it be so magical?
No, because Friday I'm driving down the 405, sitting in traffic, and I start thinking about you and the last time we did a podcast. And I'm getting ready to move to Texas in a couple months, and I thought, man, I got to see Eddie one more time before I leave. And son of a bitch, if you didn't call me with your and I go, I can't believe you called me.
Yeah.
The first thing I said.
Yeah.
Dude, I was just thinking about you and doing the podcast. And he goes, I want you to do a podcast Sunday.
I'm telling you, Jean-Jacques is a walking, just a walking synchronicity. He's just,
You call me Yoda in one of those videos.
It's
he's a Yoda.
everything that you Instagram is just like, it's just like epic gospel, courage, Spartan courage, determination shit, and that's that you're a master of that, and you always have been. You always say the right things. So honest, so much confidence. You're the one that told me, oh man, when you get so defense, you get so confidence. And I'll never forget that. You were trying to tell me, get your defense together, get your defense together. And I wasn't listening. You were trying to tell me the more defensive you are, or the better your defense is naturally, the more confident you're going to be, because you know you're not going to get caught. Because when you're afraid of getting caught, and you have shitty defense, and everything is all beautiful. So it's falling apart. So I decided to tell him, I go, let's just go get something to eat. We're just going to go to Versailles. And I said, yeah, let's just go get something to eat, and we'll do it some other time. Hopefully we could do it next week. And I was like, damn. So I guess we'll just meet in Versailles. We just shut that. I wanted to break that fucking computer. I just wanted to fucking break. I go, let's go into, when do we get into start smashing it mode, and maybe to wake it up?
That's what I
You know what I
thought was
mean?
gonna
I was
happen.
about to,
Yeah,
let's start
I was
shaking
like,
shit
oh,
mode.
crap.
Let's start shaking this thing. This can't be happening. It was so perfect. It was so, he comes up and says, how's Larry? I'm like, oh, what do you, this is crazy. So anyways, they said, oh, we'll just, Jean-Jacques and Todd White, we're just going to meet us. They left, right? They're gone. They're gone for like a minute. And I'm sitting in the studio. We're closing shit up. And I thought, okay, I usually don't smoke weed all day Sunday and wait right before the podcast so that, boom, that first wave, that's the best wave. And that's the best wave to talk on. Anyways, so I smoked some weed. And as soon as I took a puff, as soon as I said, Joe Rogan can save the day. Joe Rogan can save the day. Because he told me about a month ago, goes, Eddie, if you ever want to use my studio, you can use my studio. I'm like, I don't want to bother anybody, you know what I mean? I don't want to ask for nothing. With Joe, I wanted it to be a pure friendship. I didn't want to ask for shit. I went out of my way. I don't want to ask anybody I don't want to put anybody out. You know what I mean? I'll take a fucking cab. Don't worry about it. I got my own shit. You know what I mean? I'll pay for but because he's done so much for me when I was so broke and I was like destitute before Abu Dhabi, before I submitted Hoyle, before that shit, I was almost suicidal. My life was falling apart, and Joe saved me. He did. He said, and you know what? You know who helped out too? Larry. Larry helped me out too. Larry and Joe, both of them, when he brings up, they saved me when I was. Me tapping out Hoyle Gracie saved. That didn't just propel me into.
I guess changing the course of your life.
That I needed that so bad. That was like, it was. I was. You have no idea. I don't even want to get into it, but so Joe had told me that 2 months ago. You ever want to use it? But I was never going to ask him. I got my studio. His studio is 100 times better. He's got 100 times more listeners, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times more listeners. But I don't want to bother him. I don't want to bother him. I don't like bothering people. He's so busy. I don't want to be that guy asking for favors. But as soon as I took that hit of weed, I thought about what he said. I'm like, and Rob was there. I don't know, were you there too, Rick?
I was.
You were already leaving there. And I told Rob, right? Rob was the witness to all this shit. Yeah. I go, there's hope. So I called Joe, and I knew Joe was out. He was having a family night out. Was out in the movies. I knew that. He had told me that. But I go, maybe he can call his producer, Jamie, and he could make it happen. I don't know. I might as well try. Called. He didn't answer. I left a message. Dude, I had never begged so much in my life. I never asked for Joe. Like, never. I've never begged. I go, listen, Joe, I know you're busy tonight, but I have to ask. If no pressure, I go, my computer studio, my studio computer fried. I have Jean-Jacques here. I got Todd White here. The podcast is a disaster. Can you save this? Joe, can you save this, please? Please, can you save this? If you can't, it's all good. I understand. But please, you have the power. And then I hung up. Then I texted him. I go, Joe, podcast emergency with Jean-Jacques. Check your voicemail. And then I texted him. I'm like, you know what? And then I get in my car. Rob's sitting shotgun. And we're driving to Versailles. Todd White and Jean-Jacques are ready at Versailles. Rick's already. And we're in the car. And I'm looking over at Rob. And I'm like, how fucking badass would it be? We already gave it. We've given up. Jean-Jacques and Todd are done. Rick is done. But I go, Joe can save this. Joe can save this. I go, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Oh, before that, before I called Joe, before I smoked weed, I forgot a very important part. I looked over at both of you guys and I said, maybe this is supposed to happen for a reason. We're going to find that this was a blessing in disguise. Watch. And I said that, right? And then I thought, no way it's not going to happen because I said it. It would only happen. You would find out it was a blessing by disguise. when you least expected it. And I go, nah, it's not going to happen because I already called it. You can't call it. It doesn't. The universe doesn't work like that. You can't expect it. It's all got to catch you by surprise. I was telling you guys that. And
I
then
can't believe we're here,
I
dude.
took a puff. And then I said, I'm calling Joe Rogan. And that's when I begged. I got on my hands on knees and I begged. And then we're driving and I'm like, what if he called? What if he called? He could save it. Joe can save it. I'm yelling this out. I go, Joe can save this. Joe can save this. He can do this. Oh, but he's not going to do it. He's not. He's not going to call. Yes, he can. Yes. I go, damn it. How awesome would it be if he just called and he said, yes, let's do it. Fuck. And then we're driving another mile. And then the phone rang. The phone's under my ass in my seat, so I can only see the end of the phone. I can't tell who's calling, but it's ringing. And I picked it up and I looked at it. Ah, it's him! And I knew if he called, it was on. I answered the phone. Joe said, dude, it's on. I called Jamie. He's going to meet you at the studio in a half an hour. I'm like, I'm screaming. Joe has never heard me scream like this on the radio, on the phone. I was screaming like, yes, yes, it's perfect. Because I was thinking, if he called, that would be the blessing in disguise right there. That would be the magic that you've been bringing. And so then I call Jean-Jacques. Jean-Jacques down. We made it Versailles. And then what I didn't tell you, another synchronicity that happened. They used to call Larry, a friend of mine used to call Larry hilarious because Larry was really funny. So they'd go, where's hilarious? He's hilarious. Dude, Larry is so hilarious. So he was known as hilarious to this one guy. And as we were walking out of Versailles, I was like, Jean-Jacques is magical, man. He's got some synchronicity. He's got some magic to him. And then you started talking, and I'm thinking, should I explain the Larry thing that happened between? So I'm trying to convince you of the magic. Let me throw that one at you. And as I was thinking, should I tell you say hilarious? You say, as I'm thinking of hell, you say hilarious. And I didn't even bother bringing it up. I looked over at him, we walked away. I go, dude, synchronicities are just popping off like a motherfucker right now. It was crazy. Dude, I'm on that frequency right now.
Next time when you want something to happen, just call me.
Oh, dude, hell yeah. Jean-Jacques Machado, ladies and gentlemen, the master. All right, all you 10th Planet freaks out there, and there's a lot of guys that just get into 10th Planet. There's some guys that get into 10th Planet and they have no idea of the history. They probably don't even know who I am. Some guys, they just, this is 10th, they're out of jiu-jitsu school. There's a shitload of people. They're training out of school, an MMA school, and they have 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. They start taking, and they don't know the history or nothing, But for those guys, the history all starts with this man sitting to my right. He's my master. He gave me my black belt. There would not be a 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu if it wasn't for Jean-Jacques Machado. When you watch, there's a match that we want to pull up. It's Jean-Jacques Machado. Damn, it's going to be a hard one to spell. Jean is Jean, and then separate word Jacq. Machado versus Carl Uno. Just put Uno, and it should be on YouTube, that match. We're going to fucking watch that match in Abu Dhabi. We don't have to watch it right now. You know what? Have that on cue. I want to... Damn, we have so much to talk about. God damn it, we have so much. First of all,
It all started 20 years ago.
yeah, this is what we wanted. I want to know. I'm gonna interview you because you've been my master, but to be honest with you, I haven't really got like as personal as I should have, that I wanted to. I wanted to get. Why didn't I get real personal with you and like know your story inside and out? I know the rough story because you were like our instructor, our legend, and it was, and we were good friends. I mean, but I should have been. I want to know everything from like, why don't I remember? Maybe you've told me, but like the very first taste of jiu-jitsu, how did that go down? I mean, for those people that don't know Jean-Jacques Machado, he was born without any fingers in his left hand, and you might think that's a handicap, but it's not. Jean-Jacques murders me. So this is a little history. You have to know this is an important part of the story. It's an amazing part. Talk about a blessing in disguise. The biggest blessing in disguise is it was a blessing that he was born like that because that's what made him so great. It's amazing. And that's my philosophy. But we'll get into all that. But born in Rio de Janeiro?
Rio de Janeiro.
Right there. Your address from home said Rio de Janeiro.
Rio de Janeiro.
Wow.
Right there.
Okay. So what are your first memories of what jiu-jitsu was? How were you introduced? Do you remember your first day of jiu-jitsu or your cousins talking about it? And your mother is an aunt of a Gracie? You guys are
My
your aunt.
Yeah, my mom's sister was the last wife of Carlos Gracie Sr.
Okay.
And that's our link with the Gracie family.
Okay. So wait, your aunt.
My aunt was his Carlos Gracie Sr.'s last wife.
So your aunt was married to Carlos Gracie Sr.
Yes.
Wow, that's deep. I didn't realize how deep that was until right now. I always thought, oh yeah, like a cousin or from marriage, but that is pretty deep. Your aunt was married to Carlos Gracie. I thought if someone would have asked me the lineage, I would have said I remember his aunt married one of the Gracies, but it was Carlos Gracie. Damn, I'm ashamed of myself. I'm ashamed of myself for not knowing that. I really am. Because Carlos Gracie Sr., he was the one who first learned, he was the first of the Gracies to learn the jiu-jitsu like in 1912 or something. There was a bunch of Gracies. Carlos was the oldest one. He learned it. He showed it to Helio, and then Helio made it what it is today, right? That's the story, right?
Yes.
Helio was
Youngest,
he was the one that was
youngest-
really teaching, and Carlos wasn't really teaching that much, but Helio was the one who was instructing most of them, right? That's what Rose Gracie told me.
Yeah, Helio was...
He was the one,
Once
right?
Carlos was the oldest brother and Helio was the youngest one.
Carlos was like the manager. They were like inseparable. They were best friends, but Carlos
he
was like
he
Henner and
the-
Huron.
It's like an older brother that has the father figure.
Yeah.
That would be the best way to describe.
It's like Henner and Huron, right? Because like Henner's like the businessman, and he's got his brother Huron to go out and do the battles. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's almost like, and they love it. They love that.
It's a
Not
good-
not that Henner's never competed in
No.
Henner, but he's more of a businessman. His jiu-jitsu is very top shelf. Henner, I didn't mean it in a way, but Huron's the one that is the one that you're pushing more to compete, and I think that's a beautiful thing. That's like Carlos Gracie and
Helio.
Did Carlos Gracie fight too ever? Did he fight Valetudo?
Going back to so many years that a lot of these stories that I remember is
They're all mangled.
when they did the challenge on the beginning was before the Vale Tudo that used to call back in Brazil happened. They set up like a challenge. They put a ad in the newspaper. Then anybody wants to bet money to get beat by, and I have some people showing up. And back then
What year was this?
oh man,
20s?
I don't know, something like that, 30s, 40s,
So-
something like that. Then what happened is whoever shows up choose their opponent, one of the brothers. It's not like, oh, you are the one that's going to be fighting. No, they choose whatever they want, and
They get to choose the brother that they're fighting.
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
and who do they always choose? Helio?
Oh, they chose a bunch of time different ones, but in all the fights, they turn out to be successful and making the money and take the money.
That's how they
and
made
win
money.
the bet.
It was like they were hustling.
That's how everything started.
Whoa, that's like some kind of carnival trick.
You see so many movies and everything done, and they actually live that in reality.
Whoa, that's a movie right there. Someone make that movie.
That's a
1920s in Brazil. That's how they make their money. They're hustling. That's real gangsters right there. They weren't selling drugs. They were fighting and taking bets. Like that movie with Charles Bronson, Hard Times. Remember that? You ever watch that movie?
And
They were
I'm-
boxing
and
like
I'm,
it.
and I'm sure a lot of the movies might took the idea of, or who knows?
For sure.
Who
But
knows?
damn, I mean, you can make another one right there. Brazil, Carlos Gracie. So what you're saying is Carlos Gracie did fight back then.
Oh yeah, he
They all
did.
fought.
Yeah.
So
they all
Carlos
fought.
Gracie for sure fought a bunch.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But he didn't teach as much as Helio did, right?
Yeah, if we're going back in the history, I mean, everything starts with him. If it wasn't for him to
Carlos.
yeah, everything happened with him first, and then he brought the whole family involved, and the whole story developed on that, and everyone in the family became involved. And I think his vision of what would be 20, 30 years from now, as we see the results in the whole family today, it's like an army.
It's incredible.
And
For those of you that aren't aware of the power of the lineage of the Gracies and the history, and I mean, it really is a movie.
And-
They need to make a.
and
Mark Wahlberg will play
and-
Helio.
And the point was, we already heard so much in the history, and most of the families, and
Young
you have
Helio.
you have the wife and the husband. Chances are the wife always pull more the family, their kids, to relate her to their family than
Yeah.
the fathers pull to relate it to their side of the family. And that's what happened to with our case. And we're just pulled out from my aunt being wife of Carlos Gracie, my mom's being very close to her sister. Then we have that
You guys are always right there.
privilege to live that life and
That's
learn
beautiful.
and
I'm
hear
imagining. I'm putting a video in my head. Right
so many stories, so many situations living that. And I think today people ask me, I think it's we the Machados are a smaller clan inside of the Gracie clan. But I mean, if you go back for a moment, the all last 6 kids of Carlos Gracie are our cousins.
now. And which ones are those?
Then it'd be Carlos Gracie Jr., Crawling Gracie, Helium Gracie. Then you have the girls that is Carla Gracie, Hayla Gracie, and then Kila Gracie.
Because their kids had your blood.
Yeah, that mean and that made
At that point, right? Her
Yeah.
kids,
The mom.
because she's
Yeah,
gonna
it's-
get
yeah.
she's
It's our
gonna
aunt.
get that's your aunt. So man, I never ever looked at cousins like that before. You usually forget about those cousins, right?
No, that's first cousins, I think.
yeah, and the main thing was we have the chance to live in that environment and in a funny way in a family, the way it plays with your cousins. You're being tested every day and we grew up.
No, that's just regular cousin. I just figured it out. That's regular
Yeah.
cousin. I'm trying to relate with like your family with the Gracies would be like my situation with my Aunt Patty's husband Gonzalo and his family. Very, I know all his family, so it's just like that. I'm trying to imagine that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Again, I'm ashamed for not just being on top of that and just getting it down from you. But you gave me an overall view. But there's a lot of stuff that I'm not repeating it. I'm learning a lot from this, so it's a beautiful thing. So now, do you remember how you were introduced to jiu-jitsu from? You just always knew about jiu-jitsu, right? You'd hang out at tournaments?
Yeah. No, and the thing is, we have sometimes someone's birthday or Christmas, and on Christmas you have Helio Gracie dressing as a Santa Claus, and you have about 40, 50 kids in the house, and he's the one coming.
Sounds like
as-
my family.
the Santa Claus, and then we're there as a kids, and it was unbelievable because you have so many kids, and everybody I was involved in with that samurai mentality of not being afraid and live for a fight, and that's not something that was forced into. It's something that was naturally you living that every day. Those challenges that you have and training, listen to the stories, the whole thing that happened with the uncles and passing that to the following generation, then pass it to the another generation.
Was there anybody that resisted? Was there anybody against? No, I guess you were teaching everybody, right? I mean, the Gracies were teaching not just the Gracies; they're teaching anybody, right? Anybody
no,
jiu-jitsu, right?
The jiu-jitsu was for everyone to learn,
Okay.
definitely.
But when you guys started getting good, you, your brother Higan, Hodger, Carlos, Johnny, all five of you guys ended up being like your own association, and you started your.
No, but what people need to understand too is that we come from the Grace family and we still defend their flag. I think in the whole world today, whoever learns jiu-jitsu learns directly or indirectly from the Gracie family. People can't forget that they were the founders of what we do today. And somehow down the line, if you keep going back with an instructor, which was the instructor was student off, you're going to end up with someone from the family that taught jiu-jitsu to this.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're
Yeah.
legit, there's a lot of frauds out there.
And then I think it's jiu-jitsu today with the whole technology, and it's explode. And it's still a baby style. We're talking about here, jiu-jitsu came to America in 1990, 89, 90, not long ago. You know what I mean? And look how big it is. Look how much change happened because of jiu-jitsu in the world. It's not just the whole martial art was relearned from the point that people start paying attention to jiu-jitsu. How many people today, we're talking about millions, that jiu-jitsu impact their life
Absolutely.
and change their life. And the best thing is for better. Jiu-jitsu never change anybody for
Why
worse.
do you think jiu-jitsu changes so many lives? What would you tell somebody?
I think
Someone who's on the fence about joining their local jiu-jitsu club. What would you tell them?
the whole idea is jiu-jitsu was created in a family environment. When I say family, is everybody that comes into the mat, it will become part of your family. And the majority of the schools today are creating it's like a small church in a way.
Yeah.
Everyone are so close. And I'm sure that everyone that is involved with jiu-jitsu, your best friends are in the jiu-jitsu academy.
Absolutely. It always ends up that way.
You will
Always.
be you a lot many times. How often you see your brothers and how often you see your friend that trains jiu-jitsu with you almost every day for the past 15 years.
Yeah.
This guy is part of your family now. And I think that mentality and the way jiu-jitsu born spread out this way.
It's easier to refer to it more like a religion than it is a school or a karate school. Growing up, traveling around, driving around the city, you would see karate schools everywhere, and they would always pop up, open and close. The whole Bruce Lee, Phantom.
And
myth
keep in mind,
was all-
jiu-jitsu was never in the movie. Jiu-jitsu was not advertised in the movie. Jiu-jitsu was advertised in the reality of people's life. You know what I mean?
because of the sport, because of the closeness of it, because of the interaction you have, it's so much more personal, and that's why you get such great relationships and friends from it. Because
That sounds
you know,
sexual.
it
Because
kinda
we
is.
rub our balls
It's
on
only
each
gay
other.
if you stare at each other's eyes, bro. You know that, right? That is the rule. It's only gay when you look into the eyes.
It's crazy how when you do jiu-jitsu, you have to get
you know,
through that.
No, you know what it's like? It's like if you've ever had little brothers or family members, it's like you're wrestling around with your little brother. It's like
Yeah.
there's a childlike ability to it, and it also has an element that keeps you young.
No, I want to smash dudes. I
And
don't
that's
wanna...
it does. It does keep you young. Think about every guy out of
Jacques
school.
just puts the little
No, but
thing.
you know the funny thing is,
that's not nice.
you
Jean-Jacques.
armbar the guy, you choke the guy armbar you, choke you, but on the end of the day, you guys live together, going to the restaurant and talking and have a
Yeah.
great time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
chess game that
Yeah.
And it's at the same time when you step on the mat, it's like a game. I want to win as much you do. Then I go home and keep thinking. I draw something. I write down. Maybe watching you train in the school. I want to have some tricks on my sleeve
Yep.
and making in a healthy way very competitive.
Yeah.
And that's the way we present jiu-jitsu since the beginning. And most of the schools today are passing on that. It makes like a small families. You go
Yeah.
to a lot of schools that small families.
Yeah, it's amazing. I always say, and that's a beautiful point, I say jiu-jitsu changes lives because if you have a regular job and that really doesn't require that much technique, like you have to learn how to do this and put that there and boom, boom, boom. Every day you work that job for 30 years. And then you drive home, by the time you get home, you eat and you just like watch TV and you forget how magical your body is. So you think the longer you do that, the more you have less faith in yourself. But when you do jiu-jitsu, every day you're reminded, look what your body can do. It's magic. If you suck at something and then you practice it.
Here's a point in jiu-jitsu that not many people realize. The technique, the jiu-jitsu itself, the physical side, is not the jiu-jitsu. The jiu-jitsu will come in after the training. When you sit down with a student and you start talking to him, after his mind is all clean, he's clear, he's tired, he's kind of listen. And few things that I told you 20-something years ago, you still remember. That create impact on your life. And I think that being involved with martial arts, you're able to see and learn by people how they sit, how they look, or how they position their body, if they're afraid or not. And a lot of things that we say after the class, after the training is done, stay in people's mind.
Yes.
And I say that not only one time, but I keep repeating that through a few years until you actually believe on that. And moment that you actually believe on that, man, you're a different person in a better way.
Yes,
You know
I
what I
agree.
mean?
Jiu-jitsu helps you in many ways, and that's another way right there. What I was talking about was just the reminder every day when you suck at a move and then you get good at it and you suck and you realize, wow, my body, every day, you're reminded of how magical your body is. So you realize, man, I could do this in anything, not even just jiu-jitsu. Like whatever I do, if I practice it like a jiu-jitsu move, I'm going to master it. Wow, I want to master that. I want to master that. I want to master that. Then you have faith in yourself and you're like, I could do anything. I'm just going to keep going. Bam, bam.
You every day are put in positions in situations that are horrible physically and mentally in jiu-jitsu. It's like, man, that guy just crushed me today. But next day you come back and suddenly you do a little better. The next day you come back, you do a lot better. Then pretty soon you start believing that, you know what? I think I can beat this guy now. And that little belief that you have physically getting to yourself on your mind. And again, once you believe that you can do, my friend, nothing will stop you.
The crazy thing you realize is when you start doing jiu-jitsu, you're like, oh my God, this is way easier than I thought. I thought it was going to be a bunch of bald, sweaty guys without shirts and just biker-looking dudes ready to smash me and throw me in a cage. Once they realize it's just a bunch of nerds who do not want to fight. Nobody's trying to fight nobody. Bunch of it's weird. It's like only generally we're just a bunch of pussies that do jiu-jitsu.
Well, I think you're forgetting or have not remembered the entire early days of us being at the school when it was nothing but the thugs that were coming in, the construction workers, the plumbers, the dudes that wanted to beat on people, and some ended up in jail.
Yes.
I mean,
we had a couple of those.
Dude, when do you want to get into the stories? Because I saw some stuff go down in day one of, hey, there's a sport where you can go and beat the dude in a gym.
Yeah.
And, when you saw a guy putting another guy out and he's trying to tap him, the guy wants to see him go to sleep. Those were scarier days. I mean, there were steel welder workers coming in that
the Wing Chun guy, remember him?
There were just guys that would come in. They were working on steel buildings, and they were veterinarians that were like on the field, and they were sweating and stinky, and then they would maul you and get on you, and you'd just be going, "What the fuck am I doing?"
I remember one guy.
I saw Wes Gracie. He didn't look this bad.
There was one guy at John Jacques who was a mechanic, and he always smelled like oil.
Transmission fluid.
Yeah,
he always smelled like transmission
He
fluid.
was good too. He was a Mexican guy.
And then in the early days, there was no such thing as rash guards. All right?
Yeah.
So you would get the dude that just should have shaved 10, 20 years ago, but was covered in hair and would just land on you, grab you, and shove his face, drag your face up and down through his chest. And
you know what that is?
I know that.
Do you know what that is?
That's
That's reality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you have to deal with that on the street, I hope you don't. You've been there, done that.
But
you'll be fine.
But with those guys, the tough guys, when they come in, once they, the douchier you are, the more you're going to be hurt by taps. So if you're a huge douche, one tap is going to hurt you. And then if you're really strong, maybe you bust ass for a while, but then once dudes start tapping you,
they're
going to
quit.
They're like, fuck this. They take it too personally. When the nerds are just like, ooh, I got tapped 10 times today. Oh, I hope I do better next time.
Right.
All the guys that would never fight, they don't get bothered by the tap. So after 10, 15 years of jiu-jitsu, you're just left with a bunch of pussies.
But you remember how great it was when you would get the bouncers that would come through there, and they would be these monster guys, and then all of a sudden they'd be on their back, and it was an unfamiliar territory for them. And then we'd be on top of them, and they would just be freaking out. And then next thing you know, they're gone. They just didn't like it.
Yeah, if you're...
you guys on the beginning of our school wasn't a good advertise for me. You guys want to just beat up all the big guys. They come in, and the little guys are giving them a hard time. It's like, I don't think
It was still a bit of a secret back then,
when I first... you guys knew me very well. You were right there at the change. You knew me very well before I started smoking weed. I was really, really against it. And then you knew me right when I got into it, and it just blew my mind. You guys must have thought I was the craziest motherfucker, because I would Xerox chapters of The Emperor Wears No Clothes by Jack Herrera, the book that changed my life. And I'd just take chapters, and I would sit someone in Jean-Jacques' locker room and say, hey, just read this. Just read that. It's one chapter. I photocopied it, really easy to read. No one's going to read a whole book. So I would just be passing on. And everyone thought I was nuts. They thought I was crazy. He's losing his mind.
I think only jiu-jitsu can save him now.
You must have thought I was losing my mind, right? Come on. right?
I guess jiu-jitsu did save you.
You were
All
already.
these years.
I was so against it. You knew me when I was violently against weed. I hated it. I always preached against it. I thought if you smoked, you were the biggest idiot ever. Like, why are you destroying your brain, dude? What the fuck are you doing? You're killing your lungs, man. You know. But then the whole change, right? I apologize for being pushy. I was trying to change everybody. I made people think that I just started with this conspiracy theory thing. Back then was when I was a purple belt. I don't know if you remember this, but I took a compilation. I made an 8-hour VHS tape, you know, one of those 8-hour ones. They were usually 6 hours, but you could fit 8 hours. I took 5 of the best conspiracy theory documentaries I could find, like the best one on UFOs. Just right down the line, all the best documentaries, and put them all together. And I called it, and I made maybe 20 copies, and I called it brain dirt. You know, because when you get brainwashed, you know, you don't want to be brainwashed. You want your brain dirty. So I called it brain dirt, and that's how crazy I was. I was passing out.
But
I was like a miniature Alex Jones.
Do you want to know how good jiu-jitsu did for you? Because at that time you're trained, you have no time to think about that. If you think about a UFO, you get choked. If you think about something else, you get an armbar. There we go.
If you think about a UFO, you'll get choked. That was one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my
That
life.
should be 10 Planet's new logo.
You have no time to think about those things when you train, man.
Dude, that's something Joey Diaz would say. That's how good that was. You know how strong that was?
You gotta be 100% in jiu-jitsu, man. Or you might be dreaming with UFO during the train. Just like what happened here.
It's even funnier. You wake up, because when you get choked out, you don't know where you're at. It isn't, you're out for 5 seconds, but you don't remember where you're at.
You
Flying.
No, you are out for sometimes
But then you
few
learn.
seconds.
But then you learn the
Oh,
first
yeah.
time you wake up, you don't remember shit. You wake
Oh
up with
no,
that
no,
feeling.
everyone has a dream. I go and ask a guy, hey, what would you dream about?
Right away. You're having a dream right away. But after you get choked out like 10 times, when you wake up, the second I woke up, I'm like, how dumb did I look? Because I know, it's like when you're in a dream, you don't know that you're dreaming, but after a while, you control that lucid dreaming. Right when you're in a dream, you're like, oh, I'm in a dream.
Yeah,
right when I open my eyes, I go, oh, that feeling
If
again.
you think for a moment,
how goofy did
man,
I look? Because you don't want to be that guy going,
you have to learn. You have to learn.
You don't want to be that guy.
You have to learn and concentrate and you train. You know what I mean? You literally clean your mind.
Yeah, people are tapping when they get choked. They're not tapping because it hurts. That's a big misconception. You're tapping because you don't want to be that dude doing the because it's really, really embarrassing. People laugh and they're gonna talk. Not only did you get tapped, but you did the electric duck.
Man,
Or whatever they call that move. I don't know what Rampage calls it. So that's why people are tapping. You don't want. I would rather tap and not do the electric duck than not tap and then you wake up and then they gotta lift you up. They like all the Brazilians and like Americans are like, oh, we don't know what to do when someone passes out. Brazilians are like, shh, like we've been doing this in Rio since 1912. They lift you up and then dudes are just and everyone's panicking. They're going, oh my god, I'm never coming back again. And the Brazilians are like Johnny's like everything's gonna be fine.
even if you don't do anything, the person will wake up.
Yeah, but if you've never, the first time I saw someone going, I go, is he dead? Is he dying? What's going on? And then you realize that everyone does that, and then you're like, damn, I don't want to be that dude.
Everyone
Especially now with video cameras, can you imagine now? Because back then they didn't have iPhones.
No, each one has a different reaction. Some people make no noise, some people a lot of noise.
It all depends on how long they go out, right? If you go, the longer you hold the choke, the more duck they do. Right?
You see, we gotta test that. I don't know.
Yeah, I had an idea for a vigilante superhero. He was a master at choking at just the right time till you turn into a vegetable, so he never killed anybody. He was just the master. So he never murdered anybody. He just turned people that deserved it into vegetables. That was his thing. There would be a lot of jujitsu in it, but then he'd mess up sometimes, and he didn't hold the choke long enough, or the guy had it lined up wrong, and then the guy's like, he's like pointing, because usually the guy wakes up and you're I don't know, man, something's wrong with him. Like the guy's just a vegetable.
If you don't know, Eddie's just been getting choked right now.
Hey, have you gone to sleep on the mat?
Like a 10 times.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh, yeah.
I've gone down the tunnel twice, and I've never gone out.
No, I've been out a lot. Einstein put me out with
Gag reflex.
a gag reflex. I didn't think it was a real move, man, and it was, man. You have a guy in crackhead control. You just jam your fist into their neck. I'm like, what is he doing? That bothers me, but. I woke up, I'm looking up, and that was one of those times like, what happened? Did I look goofy? Be honest. I go, be honest. No, it was cool. Like, I wasn't doing the electric duck, was I? Because sometimes you don't. But yeah, the gag reflex, Einstein's creation, it's so beautiful for the rubber guard. Just when you're blocking everything, you got a guy, he's blocking everything, but boom, the neck's open, boom, it's done. I use it all the time now. Bam, the neck, you're done. It's almost like you didn't really tap them. They'll tap and they go, okay, let's do it again. Because now in the guard, the future of being in the guard, if you have a rubber guard player, you're always like this now in the guard. Because if you're like this and he has crackhead control, you're done. If he knows what to do. So now everyone's in the guard like this now. Now they stop. You're like, ugh. You always check the neck. You're going through all the different steps. You're always checking the neck. Damn. Start moving their head. Open it up, dude. And boom, got you. Anyways.
Hey, let's talk about some old school days with Jean-Jacques.
I don't want to talk about Jean-Jacques. I want to talk about you.
Yeah. Let's talk about how fortunate we were coming in there. And there were nights where you and I would be the only two showing up on the mat. And it would just be me, you, and Jean-Jacques to train. And it was like we got our own little private.
That didn't happen that often. There was always a lot of people.
No, in the early days.
He's saying that you weren't drawing people.
In the early days, there was nobody.
There was a lot of challenge. There was a frustration at time because I remember I came from Brazil and with Jiu-Jitsu was already established. Yeah, you have 50, 80, 100 people in your class. Then you move into U.S., you show up and nobody shows up.
Yeah.
Nobody knew what Jiu-Jitsu was. And we have to go.
Now, how did you grow up doing jiu-jitsu? You're in the family. You start winning championships. You were like a phenom, right? You won the purple belt championship. That's where you met your wife. I remember that story. That's a personal story that I remember. I remember that you won the purple belt and you were like 18 or something, right?
Yeah, no. I met my wife. I was 10 years old. In school.
Right. That's right. You knew her.
And I would. Boyfriend, girlfriend, and then
during high school.
Yeah, then before high school. Then she moved, and I don't know, 5-6 years later, I moved, and by coincidence, we saw each other.
You moved to the same area she was at?
Yeah, I used to live in Rio, and the funny thing is, talking about pot. One day, my brother came home and mentioned to my mom that somebody offered him something at school, and my mom was scared. And we moved. We're in Rio de Janeiro. We moved.
It's a blessing in disguise.
We moved to a small town, an hour drive, and we were there for 5-6 years. Then we moved back as teenagers.
Oh, then you go back to Rio. And then where did you met her? You met her in Rio.
I met her in that small town.
Okay.
Then I moved back several years later. Then we saw each other again. But
what belt were you when you asked her to marry you? Black or purple?
Brown belt.
Were you a brown? Were they saying Jean-Jacques? Were you a brown belt? Were they saying were you undefeated? Were you just crushing everybody?
The thing is, back then we have so many good people to train with at your own school. Not everybody likes to compete, and sometimes because people wins the tournament doesn't mean he's the best guy in your school.
Yeah.
Maybe the best guy doesn't like to compete.
Yeah.
And one guy who's not the best goes there and does extremely well.
Yeah.
And evidently, for us in the family, Jiu-Jitsu was part of our everyday doing things. Was our way to having fun, our way to exercise, even related better to your brother, and become something naturally part of your day.
Were you all training together, you and all your brothers? Like at the house, you guys have mats? Or?
We all train together in
garage at your house?
No. We actually, one day we have an idea to turn our bedroom into a mat.
How old are you at this point?
I don't know, 12, 13. We get all the furniture out of the room.
How old are you when you, day one of jiu-jitsu? How old are you, 5, 6, 8?
Man, we have jiu-jitsu classes with 4, 5 years old.
Okay. So you can't even remember that first day. Yeah,
I don't remember.
You can't remember. You were just born in it, and you're like, I'm in it.
Yeah,
okay.
and literally, it's when you see your cousins and members of your family doing sports or doing something that they do well, chances are your whole family will turn into that direction. What I'm saying, if I have someone in my family who plays football and he's very good in football, chances are the whole family will turn and do football.
Yeah.
Because now the next generation, this guy plays well like his older cousin.
Yeah.
In our case, jiu-jitsu was the sport or the way of living to do. And every day we go, I always listen to stories from our uncles about jiu-jitsu, about some of the situations and the realistic situations happen in their life, which because they implement jiu-jitsu, they were able to succeed or not die. And we're like a storybook.
Oh, and they're telling you like life and death situations.
Life and death situations, and we listen
And the
to
jiu-jitsu's-
that, and because of the jiu-jitsu, they're able to. It's like superhero type of thing.
So they like campfire
"Man."
stories.
Then that was something that drew our attention as a kid
good
and
idea.
kept us doing that for until today. And we turn our house into a mat, and my parents like, "What are you guys doing?" I said, "Mom, the school is too far sometimes, and we're here. We're thinking about a technique, and I want to do during the class. I want to do here with my brother, or I want to take a shower. I want to sweat first, and we train. And we have a canvas on the trunk of our car, just in case we have an idea. Oh, thought about technique. We gotta do this. We stop the car, go in the park, put a canvas, and we go and do the technique. Just how that becomes so addictive to us. Keep in mind, that time was no computer, no cameras, nothing. You have to do by hand, actually, to see, to feel. No filming, nothing. If you don't do it that moment, you forget.
Did you roll with holes?
No, I never. I watch a lot of his.
You were too young.
Yeah. The only one that I had classes directly from him and our family was Carlos, my older brother Carlos, and Higan.
They're the ones who trained with holes.
Yeah, they were Hall's students and
Higgin.
Higan and Carlos back in the like kids class and teenagers.
That's why Higgins close with the whole son, right? Isn't he? Maybe I got that wrong.
Higgins. Okay. Yeah, no, Higgins.
He's close with Hodger. Higgin was always close with Hodger, right?
We're close with the whole family. I mean, man, you got a family with a lot of warriors. You kind of walking in eggs. Each one respect each other's territory, each other's view of things. It's a big respect out there, I have to say. And
you rolled with Hickson when you were young?
I learned a lot from Hickson when I was young.
How old?
I think it was back 14, 15, 16. And
Nice.
I think I have.
You were going to his classes, or were these privates?
I don't recall exactly how it's happened, but I remember that he used to visit our school some nights and train with the whole school. He just line up 30, 40 guys and go through everybody. And one night he goes, "Boy, come and train with me sometimes." And he invited me to go. And as a kid back then, you see Hickson there, I was like, man, you're talking about, I don't know, Michael Jordan, someone.
Oh, he was already Michael Jordan at that point?
He was the main guy in the family because every time they have a challenge, he's the one that step up and take that challenge.
Was he like 18 at this point? Was this before Zulu?
There
or after
was,
Zulu?
and that happened also after Hollis was helping him so much. And I think at that time, Hollis was no longer alive. And was before he fought with Zulu.
So he fought Zulu at 18.
On the second fight, he fought Zulu. I remember that. He had two fights. One fight, he fought first in Brasilia, capital Brazil, and then they have a second rematch in Rio. But for me, just...
Is that the one that's on Gracie in Action? Which is the one?
Yeah, the second
That was the
one.
rematch.
Yeah.
When they were like, he got his back from the full guard.
Yes.
Yes. Damn. So you were 14.
You remember the Gracie in Action you showed me? That was John Jacques sitting on the shoulders. Remember
what
that?
part?
One of the Gracie in Action. They were on the beach, and you were
Yeah,
you had the afro, and you were telling us in class that you were on the.
Man.
You were on the shoulders of...
No, we're kind of holding each other's arm to make like a chain. When,
Oh, wait a
Hickson was
minute. When Hickson
fighting.
fought Hugo Duarte?
Yeah,
that one?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that
On
one.
the
Yes.
beach?
Yes, that was that's right there. Boom, Jean-Jacques rolling out. You know he's
Shoulders
legit.
with the afro.
If he's right there, if Hickson's fighting on the beach and Jean-Jacques right there, you know. How tight are you?
The main thing was with us, everybody in that stage, everybody wants to hang out, to say, oh, I know Rickson. Rickson is my friend.
He was a celebrity back then.
Yes, and everybody wants to be close to
Oh
him.
man, can you imagine? Can you imagine?
And-
He's really good looking. He's shredded. In Brazil, he was destroying.
He
murdering.
was like a very simple person, very friendly, very helpful to everyone. And I had that invitation from him that I don't know if he thought I would do it or not. But when he said that, and I was set up the time, it was early in the morning, it was the only time that he had the time for, and it was right before I'm going to school. Then we're talking about, from my house was maybe half an hour by bus, and we used to take the bus and used to sit. The bus stopped right in front of his school. Then I remember sitting in the curb, waiting for him to arrive at 6:30 in the morning. He arrived, opened, he started teaching his classes, and between his classes, that when I have a chance to have a class from him and training him one-on-one.
Did he charge you anything?
No. He's
5 hayals?
No.
Isn't it hayals?
There's no charge.
Remember?
And
Man,
I-
so he took you under his wing.
yeah, and that was a time that it changed completely the vision of what I had towards jiu-jitsu. Then I start to understand what jiu-jitsu actually was, how to use your body and be able to create a technique and see jiu-jitsu in a different way that I never knew that even exists. And it changed, and till today, it was the turning point for me of understanding and be able to do a lot of the things that I do today. If it wasn't for that, and I don't know how that would be or the outcome. But it was a big, important point of my life to change and again, have someone on your side that you consider to be a Superman. You just feel like a Superman too. Like, Mom, this guy got my back. I mean, it changed your no fear, basically. It's like, man.
Are there things that you learned from Rickson specifically that are still in your game now? Like certain moves are there moves you say, I learned this from Rickson?
I think the main thing, you understand the principles of jiu-jitsu. They're what allows a lot of the people from my generation to be able to keep up with the present generation. I think the principles are the key thing to give you longevity in the sport. And I have to say that I learned that, and that it's what keeps me going and be able to quickly learn and respond when you wrestle someone, because you have the evolution of jiu-jitsu today is very, very fast. Very fast.
So we have a lot. We can make this a super geeky jiu-jitsu show. You can get really technical. You could talk about moves and certain. I don't want you to feel like we have. I want. Either you can catch up with us, or I apologize in advance, but I want to know some specific stuff. I want to know like why you think specifically Rickson was so damn good. What was it?
I think after training with him for a little while, you understand that doing your jiu-jitsu, you kind of feel jiu-jitsu. You don't do jiu-jitsu. You feel.
Yeah.
It's literally on the movements or the motion, you have that feeling that after training, but understanding that, it changed completely. You're able to mold yourself quickly. And we're talking about minor things. Sometimes people don't realize that the position of your elbow can be the whole thing to avoid something horrible to you, or can be the beginning of the end of the match. Sometimes you lift your elbow a little bit, or you turn your elbow in. Few things like that. And you do a lot of that on the rubber guard. Sometimes the little angle that you change on your foot, on your knee, on your elbow, it directly you to a different position.
Yes.
Then that works in both ways.
That was
for
deep.
you to get someone, or for you to avoid someone to get there.
Yeah, making those razor sharp decisions, those adjustments, super quick. There's so much, because I teach in steps, but now I'm even teaching even in steps inside the steps, and the mind game inside the steps, and the patience that's required to be able to play the rubber guard. It's like so much patience. You got to.
And one thing that people that sometimes miss is more you learn, less you use. Yeah. More you learn in jiu-jitsu, less you use. You know what I mean? I don't need to know 300 techniques to go to a tournament.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
might use one or two.
Yeah. When it comes to winning championships for sure. That mentality, that's the championship mentality right there. I like to always learn new stuff and try different things
don't get
too.
me
I
wrong.
like that.
For you to do less, you have to learn more.
There you go. There you go. Damn.
You understand?
That's some Yoda shit right there. I don't even understand it 100%, but yeah. No, I get it. Yeah.
For you to get into that little position, you need to learn 20. Then you understand, oh, now I know how to do this one.
Yes.
It's a step by step. And we make a lot of mistakes until you get into that small circle.
And I personally think, technically, and I think Joe's talked about this and we both talked about this, he'd walked around like at 190, 195. He was like the strongest Gracie and the most fit, right? Athletically, he has everything. He has the mentality, the spirituality, he has the reaction time, he has all the feel you're talking about. He's got the whole package. And he's got like a perfect body for jiu-jitsu. He's 190, that's the spot right there. That's where you're shredded and you're strong and your core is unbelievable and you did yoga.
I believe each human being has your mission in this planet here. And I don't think anyone born in that family by accident. He born in that family, he did what he did because he has to do that. And I think evidently he's not just born there, but you have to willing to do that and live that life that he lived. And I think he knows, everyone in the family knows the importance of your attitudes, the way you conduct yourself, because you have so many people that will follow you from your family or people that become family members to you. And I think his mission was accomplished to show everybody else in the family and everybody else around the planet to understand.
He went to Japan right when the UFC blew up. The UFC was huge right there in the beginning, but so was Pride in Japan, and they used Rickson against Takada, I think, to blow that up. And there was another show that he was doing. It wasn't Pride. There was where he fought Yamamoto. Remember that guy that held on the ropes for 30 minutes? Do you remember that fight?
Yeah.
Rickson fought Yamamoto.
Heroes. They have some shows there in Japan.
Yeah, maybe it was just
Coliseum, something like that.
It was before Pride. He did doing Pride, but before that, he fought in
Shuto or
Japan Valetudo or something like that, where he beat that. Man, they didn't really have the rules set yet, and maybe we could find Rickson Gracie versus Yamamoto. Maybe that's on YouTube, but he's holding we'll probably watch just like 10 seconds of it, but it was one of those fights where they didn't say in the rules you can't hold the ropes, and Yamamoto just held on to the ropes, and Rickson just had him against the ropes, and Rickson's punching him, trying to pull him off the ropes. Yamamoto's just holding on the ropes. They didn't say I couldn't hold on the ropes. Man, I don't know how long he held, and then Rickson just kept throwing punches. The dude's way bigger than Rickson. Rickson just clinching, just throwing punches. He's relentless. Rickson's relentless. Boom, the guy just holding on to the ropes, just taking it. He's so tall, Rickson has to like jump up and man, I don't know how long they went. Then finally, Rickson pulls him off the ropes, and he gets on his back. Here to see that he's holding the ropes.
Was Rickson?
Look at Hoyler's going crazy. Do you see that? They're all going nuts in the corner. They're going, look, he refuses to let go of the ropes.
Was Rickson bigger in Japan at some point than he was in Brazil? Because Japan, it was so televised and it was such a national thing. And
yeah, he was definitely
he was a guy, man. I was fit, and I think when the mentality when you say jiu-jitsu lifestyle, man, we want to be as close as possible to nature, and we need the nature. The nature is the fuel for our living, and Brazil is such a beautiful place. People like to surf, hang out outdoors. And
dude, this is nuts. You're watching this.
I know, I'm watching.
You watching how nuts this is. Rickson's relentless. He's so aggressive. Look at this. He's like, let go of those ropes, and he's coming back with elbows. Look at how aggressive he is. Look at this. It's like this guy. This is the craziest, probably one of the craziest fights of all time.
Man, each time hit the guy, and it's less and less, and pretty soon the guy's gonna quit.
Yeah, it's like this is incredible stuff. This is some serious MMA history right here. He's just relentless, throwing those uppercuts and just trying to how is he going to make him let go of that rope? That's going to be very hard. He's got a serious, deep Jean-Jacques overhook on that rope. He's got one of those overhooks that you used on Carl
Look,
Uno.
man, one thing we learn in jiu-jitsu is be patient. It's a matter of time.
That's it. Patience.
Be patient.
Look at that body shot, uppercut. He's hitting him hard.
He is, but can you imagine if Hickson knew to like just jam him up in the kidneys or give him shots like the
I
fighters
think
today
he's,
now
I
know?
think he's hitting him as hard as. It seems like he's getting some really good shots in there.
No, I think all the shots that he gave, look, the guy now turned he want to face him because it's punishment.
A headlock and
Isn't that crazy? And you know, the reason why Hickson went to Japan, the UFC exploded. So MMA exploded. This is before they call it MMA. It exploded in Japan as well. And in an interview, Hoist Gracie, who was the UFC god at that point, he said in an interview, my brother Hickson is 10 times better than me. So the Japanese heard that and said, who is this dude? So they went and found the history. They found Hickson and they go, we want you. The UFC's got Hoist. So they brought over the guy that's 10 times better than Hoist. And that's what this is all about. They're like, man, let's showcase the Japanese. They just jumped on him. They heard about him and just ran with it. Let's get the best guy. And he did, I don't know how many fights, maybe 10, 12 fights. He fought a lot of dudes in Japan, and the Takata ones were so epic and so classic. Anytime someone asks me, hey, an arm bar, you're supposed to cross your feet? I always refer to the Takata fight with Hickson. I go, Hickson crosses his feet in the arm bar, I'm going to cross my feet. Okay, watch the video. Because there's a debate. Some guys don't cross the feet. Some guys cross the feet, don't cross the feet. I'm like, Hickson cross the feet.
It's all depending
done.
on how you cross.
Yes.
It's minor details there that sometimes
where
people
it's
don't pay
crossed
attention.
is the shoulder lock, because it could be crossed in the wrong spot. Like you could be over the arm, like over the forearm, and it's crossed. That's not going to do anything. You got to lock the shoulder and right there, boom. Now it's good. But maybe we should fast forward to the end of this. Can we hit a little? Okay, there we go. It's nice, powerful. Okay. This is about. Oh, this is it right here. Let it fly from here. He's throwing him out. He said, fuck this dude. He threw him out.
like, I don't need that dude.
He threw him out the ring. People, you young MMA fans, if you haven't seen this, this is where it all came from, man.
Oh, man.
Hickson was supposed to be in the first UFC.
Now that guy doesn't want to come back.
Yeah, Hickson was supposed to be in the first UFC, but Horion thought, you know what? He looks to prove the point of jiu-jitsu. We need a skinny guy. We need a guy looking like a guy that looks like he couldn't hurt a fly, and that's what Hoist was. And it turned out to be the right strategy. There may have been some other stuff behind the scenes, but that's as far as I know. He was supposed to be in the UFC. They chose Hoist instead. He went to Japan and stuff. I'm sure he made a buttload of money in these fights. But damn, he's holding the ropes again. Oh man. I haven't seen. Oh, it's almost over. Oh, there it goes. Something happens here.
I think I finished the round.
Oh, you know what he does? In the beginning of this round, he just goes out there and just takes care of business, I think. How much time is left? Damn, there must be a part 2.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's round 1.
Yeah, we need to get. Shit. Gotta see the end of that. The way Hickson just ends that is. It's classic. It's like when Henzo used to fight, he had his own signature too. He'd just stomp on the back of someone's head. That was accepted back then. It was different times, right?
As real
that was
as it gets, man.
Yeah, that was accepted back then, right? I think right here he comes out and he just takes them apart. Look how young Hickson is. He looks like Kron. Man, they look exactly the same.
I think Kron looks like him, right?
Yeah. See, I don't think he allows him to hold the ropes right here. I think he goes, I'm just gonna grab this guy and I'm gonna trick him. Because why doesn't he just go to the ropes right now? I would, if I was the Japanese guy, I'd just go right to the ropes. Why are you messing around right there?
I think they told him if he doesn't fight, he'll get no money.
Or cement shoes. Yakuza don't play. That's what they told him. They said, your family, everybody, all of them. And he's like, okay, fuck it. How much time is left on this thing?
This was only a 5-minute round, and they're already a minute into it.
Let's fast forward. Oh, no, back right there. Yeah. Come on now. Look at that referee. Looks like a Japanese Elvis. You see him? Very good-looking young man. They wanted to get a model for. No, we need to have very good-looking ref. Oh, there it
here we
is.
go.
He clinches up. Okay. Why doesn't he just hold the ropes? Hold the ropes! I'd be screaming at him. Oh, he dragged him out. Oh, it's over now.
It's on there.
Done, son. Look how fast this goes now.
He's moving him to the middle.
Oh, yeah, look at that. No mercy, son. Oh, he's still in half gouache. Oh, what a terrible half guard. Look at that.
Oh,
Oh,
nice overhook.
it's over, son.
Shit.
Now, this guy, he ends up going out. He doesn't do the electric
No.
duck. He just goes out like he's in another dimension.
Look, he's moving outside.
Look at that.
Get
Oh, this is what it's all about. He's like, what do I do from here again?
He's trying to get out. Outside the ring.
This guy kept fighting for a while, too. He did okay. He kept his career going. He tried to become legit. Won a few, lost most. It's over, son. Oh,
Oh, shit.
look at this. This is what it's like when you go to sleep. Damn, he's out right there. Look at that. Damn, he could have killed him. There's no way he's not out.
He's been out. He's been out.
Oh, look at that. He's on his hands.
He's getting comfortable.
He was sleeping.
Well, at least he won't remember none of that. So, as long as he doesn't watch the video. Damn, that was brutal. That's a classic right there. Now, so the Gracies, Hickson came out to the States way before you guys did, right? Like, it was Horion. Who came out first? Horion came out in the 70s. He started acting and doing stuff like that, right?
He came out, I think, on, I don't know, 70s, 80s, something like that.
And then he was the first one, right?
He was the first one.
He was cleaning offices and stuff, and then trying to turn people on to jiu-jitsu on the side. He had the garage thing going. And then who was do you remember the first guy he brought over from Brazil? Was it
Royce. Royce came with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Royce was the first one. I remember the day Royce left Brazil.
Wow.
And Horan called him, and
He told everybody, he's like, he went nuts.
no, I think it was he had the idea, and I guess he met some people over here and had the opportunity, and he needs some help. And Royce, he was the youngest one.
How old
his
was he at
youngest
this point?
brother.
He was probably 20?
I don't know, maybe less.
Okay.
But very young.
And they're the ones who started the garage?
Then they started a garage, and if I'm not wrong, after that, my brother Higan came in, and Horan called him to help him teaching the class. It was Higan, was Horan, Royce, and Higan teaching the garage for.
Who called
quite
Higan
some
out?
time. Horan called him when he knew Higan was here.
Oh, Higan, what did Higan come out for?
Higan came out here just to train wrestling,
He met some wrestler?
to improve his jiu-jitsu. No, he actually went to some local high schools, and he met to the wrestling coach
In Brazil? But
right here in America. He just came here to train wrestling. And
So he didn't have any connections. He just said, I'm going to find.
go and find.
Wow.
And then Horan heard that he was here, and Horan called him, and he was kind of working his way to teach jiu-jitsu with Horan and train his
Still learning wrestling.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And then
Then,
go on.
if I'm not wrong, after that, Hickson came in, and then after that, I think it was Hoyler came in. And I remember my brother Higan called my older brother Carlos to come in
Okay.
to help him because it's
Blowing up.
blowing up the students. Then my younger brother John came with my brother Carlos.
Damn. You and Hodger were the last ones?
Yeah, I was the last one actually to come in here. But the thing is, we grew up, we all live in the same house, a close family. Then when they moved, there was a big empty space back in Brazil. It's like, man, we're 5, now we're just 2.
Yeah.
And back then I was already living by myself with my wife. And suddenly, from a big family, now just no one around.
Yeah.
Then it was like that for 2 years until they came in on 89. And beginning of 92, I actually moved in here.
And did you go right to the garage? No, in '92, didn't Higgin already had his own school?
Higgin, and what happened was in the 91, we ended up opening our own school.
In '91,
91.
it was called Carlos Gracie
Carlos
Jiu-Jitsu.
Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
And Higgin and Carlos opened that up,
Higgin
right?
and my brother Carlos opened that up.
Was that the
and
one in the Valley?
That's the one in the Encino, yeah.
So that was first before the Redondo Beach one?
The Redondo Beach was already in the garage.
Okay, that was in the garage.
That was in the garage.
Okay.
Wasn't, we can call officially a school, but it was in our garage, and they have already a lot of students back then.
You're talking about the Redondo. Redondo was a garage, the Horion garage?
No, they end up being
Machado.
Higgins' house.
Higgins' garage. Higgin had a garage.
Higgin had a
Yeah,
garage.
when people say that, it sometimes confuses me. Someone say, "Yeah, I
No.
remember back," because when people say back in the garage days, I always think that Horion's garage, but there was a Higgins garage too, right?
was Higgins'
I bet there was a
garage.
bunch of garages, right?
No, it was Higgins' garage, and then after that, through some students, man, we ended up meeting Chuck Norris, and Chuck Norris helped us so much, and made where we are today through him and people. That
Really,
he
is that
knew.
responsible for your success?
Yeah, because back in the 90s, man, if Chuck Norris say, I train jiu-jitsu, how many people will follow him and say, hey, I want to train jiu-jitsu too? Because Chuck Norris trains jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
This is the people that are in martial arts or just his fans. Like, oh, I want to do what Chuck Norris does.
Yes, that makes sense. So Chuck Norris was huge in the conversion of karate guys into jiu-jitsu because he had that Bruce Lee mindset where he was always looking to add and evolve and naturally when confronted with jiu-jitsu as a martial artist, I mean some karate guys run from it, but he didn't have that mindset. He's like, damn, I got to learn it.
There we go. And he creates seminars for his organization, and pretty soon I remember was only 2 schools in America, was the Grace Jiu-Jitsu School in Torrance and our school in Encino.
And Henzo in New York, right?
And back then wasn't Henzo yet. And what happened was we got a call to go almost every state in America to teach seminars in wrestling schools, in karate schools. I mean, we travel a lot over the country.
And it was through Chuck Norris's
Through
connection.
Chuck Norris
Wow.
organization
Yeah, I get it now.
that he has karate schools all over, and everyone wants to learn because when he mentioned to his organization, I want everybody to learn jiu-jitsu.
Boom. That's
Everybody call us and say, hey, I'd like to have you guys in my school.
it.
And,
Wow.
And we were, back then we were 5.
That's incredible.
Then in one weekend, we have 5 schools.
How
5
badass is Chuck
brothers.
Norris?
You know what I mean?
Chuck Norris is like, wow. I didn't realize he had so much impact on Machado Jiu-Jitsu. That's huge. And Jiu-Jitsu in general, period, right? But most of the schools, did they jump? Was it a Machado affiliation with Chuck Norris? Did he want to keep it Machado?
He put on his organization that everyone to get their first degree in black belt has to be blue belt in jiu-jitsu with us. That was his setup.
Wow. That's incredible, man.
Then back then, in a way, he made everybody say, okay, I want to get my black belt, but if I want to move on, I also need to train jiu-jitsu.
Now, was that before the UFC?
That was before UFC.
Wow, double whammies. Can you imagine that? The
Way
luck
before.
of getting Chuck Norris, the head, whatever he says, all his guys are going to do it. You hooked that up, and then boom, the UFC hits. It was a double waterfall, wasn't it?
Man, and the day after the UFC, I remember I saw that on the first UFC, I was teaching a seminar in Arizona, in Phoenix. And I saw Royce there, and everybody wasn't sure because they knew they are learning jiu-jitsu because Chuck Norris told them to learn. And suddenly have that 16-man fight event that you win, you move on to the next round, which was very different than the format. It is back then was different than today.
Yeah.
And I remember the money that they paid me for the seminar, and I put on the table, said, hey, I want to bet the money that the skinny Brazilian guy is going to win.
This was after the seminar?
That was after the
You
seminar.
actually did that?
I put the whole money in the seminar, and the guys look around at me, it's like, oh, I'm not sure. They feel like, man, you're so confident that you... No, if you really
How much was it?
believe...
How much was it? $2,000?
$1,000 back then.
Okay.
And they go, like, nobody made the bet. And on the end, they're all in shock because Royce ended up winning.
Yeah.
and they knew it wasn't a surprise. And man, that wasn't a surprise
Man, I bet
because no one knew what
everybody
to do
wanted
on the
privates
ground.
from you during the show, right? They were like setting it up already, right?
Man,
like, you do this stuff when Hoist was going through everybody. By the time I didn't like Hoist in the beginning, UFC 2 was the first one I saw. That was a 16-man tournament. It wasn't the 8 one. It was a 16. Man, I hated him all the way through. God, I hated that. I didn't like him. And then at the very end, I loved him. I go, I love this
Who
guy.
Who are you a fan of?
The karate guys. I did karate. I didn't do jiu-jitsu. I was doing karate.
See, I didn't do any of it, and I was working at Warner Brothers at Tiny Toon Adventures, and a dude for the very first UFC goes, "We got this show. We're having a party," and I was just going because I didn't know anybody in L.A. I went to this guy's house, and this huge party's going on. Nobody's paying attention, and I'm watching this on the TV, and it was like personal message. I just go,
And I think
I have to do this.
In a way, the benefit of that was a great shake up in martial arts world. I think there was something needed because we get so involved with movies, then we start believing so much in movies, then suddenly have a street fight right on TV. Then people like, oh my God, that's... And when they had the first one was an impact. On the second one, people were like, wow, that's for real.
I didn't watch the first
Exposed.
one because they didn't have B-roll. When they did the first show, they didn't have highlights because they don't have a show. So I remember watching the previews, Ultimate Fighting. It was so low budget. I looked at it and I thought, this has got to be fake because there was like Fight Zone. There was all these fake martial arts shows. And I looked at it, I'm like, that's fake. So I totally didn't even watch it until I heard later that it was real. And so I saw the second one. And man, I knew there was I was doing karate and I quit right away. And I knew on Magnolia and Laurel Canyon, I had seen a jiu-jitsu school before. As I'm doing karate, I passed by and I'm thinking jiu-jitsu, some Japanese, Aikido, whatever it is. But then when I saw the UFC, I'm like, I know there's a jiu-jitsu school. I know I'm going to join there. I quit that karate. Boom.
Don't get me wrong. I think any martial arts style is good for people.
Yes, I was an idiot. I was an
You know
idiot.
what I mean?
Because in the beginning of jiu-jitsu, we all thought that striking was useless now. When jiu-jitsu first blew up, we're like, don't waste your time learning boxing. Don't waste your time learning striking. You can't kick nobody. We'll just take you down. But now we know, as time went on, we were wrong. But back then, we did a lot of stupid things. And I thought... I looked at UFC 2 and I'm like, fuck karate. Obviously karate is legit. Look at Machida, it's legit. But I'm an idiot. I didn't know anything about martial arts. I was doing karate for 6 months. I saw the UFC. I was bought and sold. Quit that shit. I went to that jiu-jitsu school in Laurel Canyon and Magnolia. Walked in, and the instructor's name was Chadwick Minge. And he sat me down. A class is about to start. And they all came out. They were all in black ease, and they were doing like their warm up drills and shit. I'm watching. Like, okay, okay, that's not white geese, but I guess that doesn't matter. Why would that matter? So then I watched 20 minutes of the class. I don't remember. They never did anything on the ground, and then I asked the instructor. I go, excuse me, how come you guys aren't doing stuff on the ground? He goes, oh, you mean that?
We in the beginning before UFC, we went to a few schools and we showed what we knew. And it was just a one-on-one. The school owner, the instructor,
Yeah.
and we showed
That
jiu-jitsu.
you must have known that guy because
And what happened was the guy was in shock. And he said, I don't want my students to see that. And we go like, no, don't get me wrong. You the stand-up, it's nothing, but I want to show just the other part when you go to the ground.
Yeah.
No, we don't go to the ground.
yeah, they don't want any part of that. They don't want to show any weakness. They don't want their students to know.
But after the UFC, all those schools
They had to. They had to.
felt that, man, now it's on TV. I can't hide that. Or
Yeah, they felt
everybody-
because I asked him, I go, how come you guys aren't on the ground? And he said, oh, you're talking about Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. And I go, isn't that the same thing? He goes, oh, no, that's different. I go, their cousins, the Machados, they teach here in the Valley. You want their number? And I said, oh, I didn't want to offend him. I'm like, no, that's cool. I like this stuff. And I'm thinking, Machado. In my head, Machado. I go, no, I like this stuff. This is cool. And I knew I was gone. As soon as I walked out of there, snuck out of there, tipped I was gone. And I couldn't find Machado's. I was like, is it
Same story.
Mitch?
Same
I was like,
story.
Machado. I'm looking in the phone books. And then I found, I couldn't find you guys, but I did find Carlos Gracie Junior Jiu-Jitsu, that's what you guys were going by. So I'm like, I found a jiu-jitsu school. It's a Gracie school. I didn't realize that it was yours. So I get to the school and it's closed down. But then I read the sign. Oh, you guys moved to da-da-da. So I went in, walked in, and Johnny was there. And I watched the class. I go, yep, this is it. Oh, yeah, these guys are Brazilian. This is it. Oh,
Dude.
I found this mother. And I'm sitting there watching it. And then Johnny sits me in the office and goes, he wanted to tell me how much it was. And I was looking to spend I had like an extra $50 to $70 a month extra. I was a brokester back then. I had the worst shifts at the strip club. I had like Monday day, Saturday day. I had some garbage shifts. I wasn't really making any money. And so when Johnny sat me down, he goes, it's 120, $80 for a once a week or 120 for 2 a week. I'm like, I can't. I said, ooh, damn. Because I'm calling around at karate. I was paying like $40 a month. I'm like,
Did you
And
get
then
an
he goes-
extra gi too? Free gi?
oh, I already had my karate gi. And he was going to sell me a gi. And I'm like, no. If I do this, I already have my karate gi. I thought they were all the same. so he goes, I go, you know what? It's just out of my reach. I can't afford it. And he goes, listen, you can buy a Volkswagen and drive a Volkswagen, or you could drive a Mercedes-Benz. What do you want to do? And I thought, damn, that makes a lot of sense. I don't want a goddamn Volkswagen. I want to learn a martial art. I want to learn the Mercedes of the martial art. Damn, but I couldn't do it. So I said, damn. But then later, and I ended up doing the Cas Magda Institute in the Valley. He's a Danny Inosanto disciple, which is basically like I wanted to do because I go, you know what, I can't afford this jiu-jitsu, but I looked in the yellow pages back then, and it said had a picture of Bruce Lee, and I'm like, jiu-jitsu first, Bruce Lee second. I called him up, a big picture of Bruce Lee. You guys do Wing Chun. I go, I'm going to learn some Wing Chun, man. If I can't learn jiu-jitsu, I'm going to learn some Wing Chun. So he says $75 for twice a week. I'm like, I could do that for twice a week. So I started doing that. Then I got good shifts at the strip club, started working Tuesday night and Wednesday night. And I'm like, I could afford this Mercedes now. So I go, I'm going to do both. I'm going to do $80 for once a week, and then still go Tuesday and Thursday to the striking at the Cas Magda and all that stuff. I was just going for the Wing Chun. I just wanted to learn that. But then on Fridays, I did jiu-jitsu just once a week. Man, my whole life revolved around that Friday. No matter how I was feeling, I could be sick. I could have no sleep. There's no way you're going to take jiu-jitsu away from me. Nobody's taking jiu-jitsu away from me on Friday. So I did that for a while, Friday, and then Tuesday and Thursday, man, I was just thinking of reasons to turn around. I'm going to go train how to hit the air, you know what I mean? And like shadow box and do some not real sparring and stuff. It's all great stuff, but my it's too boring for me, but I know it's important. I know you should learn your striking. I know all that stuff is awesome. Cas Magda, you're awesome. I just was looking for a reason or turn around. I'm like, oh, you know what? I think I'm getting a cold. Hit a U-turn, a red light. I'm like, I'm going home. But jiu-jitsu, there's no way you were going to take away my jiu-jitsu. It was impossible. I just couldn't wait for Friday. I would like panic because I'd get off work and they were already starting class. I was one of those dudes who comes in always like 15 minutes late. I couldn't change fast enough, and my hair was down to my waist. It took so long. I got to tie it up and then put a bandana over it, and then some ear guards.
Took me 10 years to make sure you cut your hair.
Yeah. It was
Convincing you.
ridiculous. My hair was ridiculous, man. At first, I just wore I tied my hair up in a bandana and wore big wrestler ear guards over just to disguise the bandana.
He come up with some, I don't know, water polo kind of a beanie or
Oh no!
something.
Then later, another long hair dude told
Cover
me
up his hair.
Yeah, Then I wore the bandana with headgear for a while, but that didn't work.
The
Every
face
roll.
mask.
But that came
And that,
later.
And that freaked out people who didn't want to roll with you.
Yeah, so a guy came up to me in Redondo and said, hey, he's a surfer. He goes, hey, dude. Like, he had long hair. He goes, I would wear a diver's hood on that, dude. I go, diver's hood? Is that going to look goofy? Because you just put headgear over it and they can't even tell. So that's what I started to do. Dude, I wore a Jacques Machado diver's. I'd tie my hair up like a homo, and then I'd put on a diver's hood. Like, all I needed was a mask and one of those air pieces, and I was ready to go. I was ready to go. I could jump off a boat. Just give me the mask. And I did that I did jiu-jitsu like that for 3 years because I started in 94. It's 20 years this year now. I've been doing jiu-jitsu. And in 97, that's when I chopped the hair. That's when I said, enough of this. I was the last dude with long hair.
But you end up signing up to get a Mercedes.
Oh, yeah, but then I ended up saying I got sick of guys getting obsessed with jiu-jitsu, that were training 5 days, 6 days a week. I'm training once a week. So I was training like a year and a couple months, and a guy would train 1 month and he would tap me. They would catch up to me quick, and that's embarrassing. When new guys would tap you because they put 2 months together, too solid, and they were wrestlers, and I trained for a year and 3 months.
If you're regular in jiu-jitsu, you
So I had to make choices.
That's
I had
a
to make
secret
choices
right there.
I had to make choices. I thought this once a week thing, dudes are always gonna catch up to me, and it's embarrassing. So I made the choice. I gotta cut out the striking, and then I just committed to jiu-jitsu full time. I got better shifts at the strip club. Then I just got obsessed. Me and Todd White, we told our story how we would just. It was amazing how we'd go. Okay, we make a list of the moves we're
I
gonna
remember
master.
you guys came on the class and no, yesterday we did like 2 hours of arm bars of this drill. And
Do you remember the drills that we memorized that we used to do for you? Do you remember those? Because he remembers them, but I don't.
They
I
were
don't
like almost dance moves. Like we'd start off in the guard, stand past the guard, go
like
to side
17
control.
moves,
yeah,
right?
and then we would go to a side control. But at the end, it would always reverse back to where now you're in my guard. You do the whole routine.
Yeah, that was the thing. It would be like 18 moves, but at the very end, we start at 0 and flipped,
Yeah.
so we could both.
But I got to tell you, that was so crucial.
You know
and
what? You got to get that on video for me, man. Do you still remember them for real?
I do.
For real?
I use our guys.
How many
I
guys?
teach when I get guys want to do stuff. I get them together. I put them in routines to do that.
Wow.
And remember,
we got to bring that back.
You got to remember
That's the
our
next
game
phase.
at Blue Belts. And I didn't know about your story. I'm going to come into that. I'm going to try to edge my way into a Bravo conversation on that later about the same
Sorry
thing
about
happened. I went down to that school after I saw the first UFC, and it
Chadwick
said,
Minge?
on Encino, and it was closed up, and
Oh,
it's all we've moved, and I didn't. And another guy says, "Oh, they moved to Century somewhere
Tarzan,
farther,
yeah.
farther." And then this other guy says, "But there's a jiu-jitsu school down the street." And I rolled into it, and it's this little short dude in a black gi, and he's doing Mushin Ryu jiu-jitsu, and he says, "Oh yeah, we do stuff like that ground stuff." And this guy just wanted the business, so I'm in. I'm in. I go in there, I sit down, I got my gi, and for like the first 2 weeks, we never do anything on the ground. And I keep thinking, okay, I don't want to be rude. Any minute now, we're going to get on the ground, and I'm going back watching those tapes of voice, and I'm like, he's like a crab. When are we going to do the crab stuff and get like, chokes and all? And he keeps doing the chest beating, hitting air strikes. And finally, a guy tells me, no, you want to go to school. And it was a student of yours that had a little cubicle on Saturday mornings, copying. And I would go to it, and he would do an hour yoga, and then an hour of judo, and an hour of grappling. And 2 of your students, Brett was there.
Ray? Are you talking about Ray?
No.
Oh.
Steve Copping. And Brett went there. Brett Kier.
Yes,
He was in
yes.
there, right?
Yeah.
So I start going to this place Saturday mornings, and I start getting decent, right? Like I'm understanding like some basics, as basic as you can. But I'm still going to this other guy. And then I start showing guys in this school, Jim Lahan. I start showing him going, here's what we're doing there. And this guy's getting mad. The professor is getting mad. And he says, listen, he pulls me aside. He's like, I don't want you doing any more of that stuff on the ground. And I go, but it's really good, and I think it works. And he goes, it doesn't work. And he goes, and he goes, now I had only been going to this other guy for about 2 months, but we had been doing drills and just repetitive motion of take down, mount, literally Gracie 101, mount, arms go up to a choke, arm bar, right? So the instructor tells me in front of the whole class, I'm going to make you a deal. You're going to try that jiu-jitsu stuff on me. When you see it doesn't work, you'll never do it in here again. And I was kind of scared, and I was like, okay, so what are we going to do? And he goes, we're going to stand up, and we're going to go. And I was just really to piss myself. We get up there. He comes at me like doing this little choppy, strikey stuff. I don't know anything, but I just grab a hold of him and fall down. I sweep him over. I mount him. He's taking his elbows, and he's pounding the top of my head. Now I'm getting kind of like pissed. He grabs my neck. I just grab his arm and fall into an arm bar. The most basic thing ever. He gives a big little whimper. Okay. I get up. I just grabbed my bag and walked out. 3 students called me that night, and they go, hey, where's that place you go? and then Comping says, no, you want to go to John Jacques School. And I'm like, where is that? And then I ended up going over there, and that's where I ran into you pretty much. We pretty much landed there. Like, I
started in '94. I remember,
me too.
March of '94.
We're right on the same building that we are today in Tarzan.
Yeah, you just got there.
In the first,
and I walked
first
in there.
warehouse.
And when I got there, I got tapped out 37 times. David Meyer was just destroying. He was already. There was guys that were already advanced by UFC 2.
He was a Japanese jiu-jitsu instructor.
Yeah, David Meyer.
He used to teach back on his house 20, 20 guys, maybe more. Then he came to our school. I don't recall through who. Then we grapple him and just play with him on the ground. He closed down his place on Saturdays. He said to everyone to come to our school. And don't forget this. You guys got to learn this. Then he came in and he brought all his 20 plus students to start doing jiu-jitsu with us.
Wow. Yeah, by the time I rolled in, he was already really good.
I think he was already blue belt back then, wasn't it?
Maybe a purple belt even. Maybe.
was-
I'm not sure, but I walked in there and I thought when I looked at Hoist, because I wrestled a couple years in high school, I go, okay, either this is retarded primitive wrestling or it's super advanced wrestling. I wasn't too sure. I'm like, could they do that to a wrestler? I'm like, I don't know. And a lot of wrestlers thought the same thing. Any college wrestler would look at Hoist and said, I'll dump him on his head, or he can't take me down, or something like that. And I was thinking, So my first day of school, I realized really quick, oh damn, this is super advanced wrestling. And I didn't get my ego bruised at all. I never felt like, oh man, all these guys just witnessed me getting destroyed. This feels horrible. Why would anybody want to do that? Why would anybody want to put themselves through that? So what I thought was, I don't care about. I'm not worried about these guys in these school attacking me or robbing me or fighting me. These guys are going to show me how to do what David Meyer did to me. I wanted to be able to do that to someone who just walked in. I understood that he was just a higher advanced wrestler, and I never wrestled before. And I came in and I'm like, woo. My goal was to be able to do to someone who just walked in. That was my first goal. I want to be able to take a guy who just walked in. I should at least be able to do whatever I want with that guy. Because at that point in the beginning, first couple months, a dude who played football or maybe he wrestled, he comes in. 2 months of jiu-jitsu, that's not enough.
For someone to say that they know jiu-jitsu, it takes like maybe 2 years. After 2 years training, then you can say, okay, I know you've been in all the bad and the good positions and the situations so many times that you end up learning. Because it's how often you tell the student, don't turn your back or don't stretch your arm, and he's still naturally reacting, doing those normal reactions. And end up armbar and choke and armbar and choke. After a few hundred times happening, he realized that I'm not going to turn my back or I'm not going to stretch my arm.
Eventually you learn.
It takes time. In 2 years, I think it's a good time to say, okay, I know jiu-jitsu and understand jiu-jitsu.
Absolutely. Some guys, man, I got a couple break dancers down at 10 Planet Vista, Richie and Gio Martinez. Damn, they break dancing their whole life. They learned jiu-jitsu like right away. Right away. It was incredible. Incredible. These guys are, fascinating to see. Because, you know that we already know that if you had a student just came in, he looked like he was 180 pounds. And he said, I've never done jiu-jitsu, but I did wrestle my whole life in Indiana. You already know. Right away, as someone who's been on the mat, this guy can learn really quick, and he can get good really fast, right? You know that because in wrestling, it's a sport of base, but breakdancing, you need way more base and balance and agility than wrestling because they're doing nutty stuff.
I always felt that would be an awesome merge.
Oh.
And then even the gymnastics guys who do the floor routines, when I see that and they do that hand tumble, that is, I'm like, oh my God, they could be snatching arm bars left and right.
That's like breakdancing because someone that comes in and says, I've been doing gymnastics my whole life. Look, I got this girl named Jen. She's been doing gymnastics her whole life, been doing jiu-jitsu 1 year. And she does flyover and flip over passes like better than I've ever seen in my life. She's been training 1 year. I use her, a white belt chick, to demonstrate how the flip over pass is supposed to work. Old school Jacques Machado, or you guys, old school, like flipping over upside down. And then that transition, she does it faster than I've ever seen it. It's so easy to her. So gymnastics is very similar to breakdancing, but breakdancing, in my opinion, is the ultimate.
Jiu-jitsu has to do a lot of with a
Except
body,
the Circus du Soleil performer.
body coordination.
Yeah.
Body coordination.
Yes. So
My
when
man.
that's what takes a long time. That's why it takes to get your black belt, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years, because you need so much time to not just, it's easy to learn the moves. You could learn the moves quick if you just paid attention and wrote things down and learned like your life depended on it. You could learn the techniques really easy. But in order to make those techniques work at a high level, you need to spend so much time training your body and the reactions and the feel like you were mentioning. But when you already have a complete command of your body where you can stand on one hand and jump and do all these weird jump in the air, backflip and end up in double lotus. And the craziest thing, I'm talking about Gio and Richie, they have the craziest, most ultimate breakdancing style. Like their style is unorthodox in breakdancing. There's a rigid, linear, old school 80s East Coast breakdancing. And then there's the new school like Gio and
freak show.
The freak show. It's like Cirque du Soleil, but breakdancing. They're incredible athletes. So this guy Gio, he starts first. There's at 10th Planet Vista, the head instructor is Ryan Fortin, and he has a son that he wanted to teach jiu-jitsu. And he goes, I'm going to open up a school so I could teach you jiu-jitsu. I love jiu-jitsu. I'm going to dedicate my life to jiu-jitsu. I want us to come together with jiu-jitsu. And he's like, but I want to learn breakdancing, Dad. And he goes, how about if I bring in some breakdancing instructor and you do jiu-jitsu and you do breakdancing, and I'll make a school of both. We'll merge. And his son said, yeah. So it worked, man. He found some breakdancers, and he found Gio and Richie. He goes, can you teach breakdancing here? I'll pay you, blah, blah, blah. So a whole crew, a dance crew, they're called the Freak Show. And Gio is the leader, and his brother Richie, tall guy, they're the leaders. They got like 6 or 7 other breakdancers, and they all jumped into jiu-jitsu, but Gio did first. At first they were just dancing, but Gio did it first.
That's a jiu-jitsu right there. You see, you don't have to fit in jiu-jitsu. You make jiu-jitsu fit on you.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you do or how it look like, how big, how small.
Yeah.
You will have the technique, the movements that will become part of your game. It will be your game.
When he was training 2 months, he went to Gracie Nationals, and he went in the beginner division. He was a beginner, just 2 months. It looked like the most massive sandbagging ever. He was just playing with his guys. They couldn't do nothing. He was already he understood how to get the back. So for him and Gio and those breakdancers, they don't have to spend all that time programming their body. To their body, they're like, that's all you're asking is to pass the guard? Thank God you're not asking to do double backflips. And we could do that easy. We got that. Don't worry about that. Learn some new moves. We got all this. This is easy. And that's the way it is. Their body is like, this is nothing. So they're doing they're coming up with this crazy stuff, and they're both really good. That happens sometimes, like with Cobrina. Cobrina did capoeira for 10 years.
How marrying art is capoeira and
Capoeira and breakdancing are very similar, and guys that are coming from capoeira, they become very, very good at jiu-jitsu
You
too.
can understand that if someone already has their body fit,
Yes,
Right.
It's easy.
anything they were trying to do, their body's already way ahead of average people.
And then you add balance and the
Yeah.
crazy agility and all that, man. Those guys,
And I'm sure a lot of things that you already do in dance or even in capoeira, a lot of things also you will do jiu-jitsu, the
Yes,
same thing,
yes.
but you're on the ground.
Yes, exactly.
But how you move your
Yeah.
body will be the same way,
Yeah.
which just make a lot easier.
Yeah, so we got a capoeira class at Tap Out LA downtown where I teach on Saturdays, man. It's packed, and breakdancing, capoeira, all that stuff. Like Cobrina got his black belt, like I think in 4 years or 3 years, something like that, right? Really, really quick. Like BJ, when you have a special athlete like BJ got his black belt in 3.5 years, you already got all that agility and balance down. All you have to do is learn the techniques. That's the easy part. So they get really good, and they're phenoms, and that's what Gio and Richie are. They're both brown belts, and they've been training less than 4 years, and they're already brown belts. And really, you can make an argument for Gio being a black belt already. You can. I mean, he's incredible, and it's incredible how breakdancing translates to jiu-jitsu. I'm going to try to get Draco, my son, into breakdancing for sure. I'm going to show him the videos and just that to me. The breakdancing, you need more agility, more balance, more athleticism than any other sport. There's nothing that requires, because it's not rigid. Like gymnastics, they have everything set. You know what I mean? And which is great.
Right.
But
the looseness.
yeah, they keep adding and keep coming up with new movements, new techniques, new patterns. It's just like jiu-jitsu. The Freak Show is the jiu-jitsu of breakdancing. It's just constantly evolving. And why were we talking about breakdancing? How did we get there?
I don't know.
Let's back up a little bit. You guys remember
Talking
what was
about
before
your-
the breakdancing? What was before breakdancing? Come on,
A
guys.
wrestler that came into the school that knew wrestling and then
Oh, okay.
kind of segued into different sports.
No, what was before wrestling?
I think in these conversations you can never try to go back. 'cause
No,
we're
we
not
do.
gonna
We
remember
usually
any
no,
of
we
it.
do. We do sometimes figure it out. We can backtrack.
That
It
was,
can
that was
happen.
back when you start,
Usually on top of it, Rob.
No. That was back when you start training jiu-jitsu. You came to our school.
Oh, and I got tapped out
Yeah,
37
then
times.
I got 30
yes,
37
yes.
times, and
And you know what? A good story I remember about you is when I was totally into MMA. Got me into jiu-jitsu. So I was into like Ken Shamrock because he did leg locks. I go, "Oh, that's pretty awesome. That's like grappling." So I had this Ken Shamrock instructional tape where he does a toe hold from top half. He's in top half guard and he does a toe hold. And I was never on top at that point. I was always on the bottom. I was playing quarter guard and half guard immediately. Dudes were I was just too small and too weak. I had zero strength, no athleticism at all. I was getting smashed. My wrestling came into play one time. All I was thinking is, I got to get this guy on the twister because I knew the twister from wrestling, a.k.a. the wrestler's guillotine. And that's all I was trying to do, but I couldn't get in any goddamn positions. The only position I knew how to get it from in wrestling, you learn how to get it from the back. Because in wrestling, you give up the back, it's totally cool, you're safe. But in jiu-jitsu, you're dead. So it was hard to get into this death position, the back control that jiu-jitsu guys weren't giving it to. I'm like, how am I gonna get this? The only move I know. I got to figure out how to get this damn thing. Occasionally, I would get the back. I remember Free Taylor, who was a purple belt, and he was just playing with me because he would kill me, he would just destroy me. But one time, he just let me have his back because he thought, and he didn't know I was good at one move already. I said, white belt, I could leg ride, stick one hook in, boom. He fell right into a twister, didn't know what he was. He never, ever let me ever be in the game ever after that. I was never in any roles. He was just complete domination, free change. He played with me once, and I put him in a twister, and he's just like, I'm never going to let that shit happen again. But so I was doing toe holds, too, and I remember Simon. Remember that guy, Simon?
Yeah.
Old school Simon. There was a tournament coming up, and it was like a tournament back then. It was at Cal State Dominguez Hills, like next to the volleyball court in a small little room. Henry Akins competed in that. Brett Keir competed in that. And it was like Joe Morera put it together in this small little room in this gymnasium. And I wanted to compete in it, but you had to, each school was sending their best guy. And at my weight, Simon went. And I thought, man, I can get Simon in toe holds. And they're sending him. I wanted to compete. I was like, pick me. In the beginning, in that police academy tournament, they had to pick dude. In Machado, you could only pick 2 dudes, and that's it. Yes. And there was a shitload of us. There was a gang. Those classes were packed. That was the gold rush in jiu-jitsu. Those classes were packed. So it was hard to compete in the very beginning. And then Joe Morera just said, I'll let everybody. Just give me let's just make this happen. But so I remember all the Machado brothers were there. And they all lived in Redondo Beach, and the main school was Redondo Beach. The one in the valley was their second school. And they would all come down. In the very beginning, they all come down on Wednesdays, and that's when it was all packed. All the brothers were there. They all agreed to all show up on Wednesday together. And the class was like 50 people. It was insane. And I wanted to show that I could tap out Simon because I was kind of pissed. So I got him in a couple toe holds, and Johnny came up to me and goes, okay, because they already knew I was a problem with always trying to do twisters, and I was not doing regular jiu-jitsu. I was doing some crazy shit. And Johnny came up to goes, listen, you got to stop with the crazy stuff with the toe holds all the time. You got to learn some jiu-jitsu. And then you came up and said, Johnny, let him do it. Let them do it. Do your game. Play your game. You knew that it was better for the school. It was a better decision to let me do crazy shit so that you if it works or something, you could at least be exposed to it, right?
I think if when you go to the school today, my school, it's very diversified. You don't have one specific game. Everyone that you wrestle has something that they're very good at it.
Yes.
My goal with that is to make sure that you are always aware of something that you might not know, or someone does so well, and you end up learning how to defend. I try not to just to keep one thing, to make sure that the learning process helps everyone. Then you go there, Todd does an armbar. He has some of his moves there.
Todd's armbar is insane.
Since a blue belt.
Yeah.
Boy,
that was your shit.
You have the techniques that you do that nobody else does. I mean, anyone that
No, they say, there's a lot of guys that say, there was someone already doing rubber guard in Brazil. But
Yeah, but it came from you. Starts with you. No matter what people say today, rubber guard was no rubber guard until you start doing that and having so much success on that.
well, thank you, John
And
John.
yeah, whatever. Oh,
Thank
this
you.
guy does rubber guard. Yeah, but when that start, you know what I mean? But the whole idea was to diversify the training in the academy, not just having.
You always had my back, Jean-Jacques. Always. You never, ever, ever, not once gave me stress for anything. When I started smoking weed, when I started doing just the unorthodox moves, when people were, and Johnny wasn't the only one, and that was a good move. I mean, that's probably good advice. Like, dude, you got to start learning jujitsu because that's what I eventually did. I never had a mount. I go, if I'm in side control, I'm going to set you up for the twister. I'm not going to mount. But then eventually I had to develop a mount because dudes weren't giving me the twister anymore. And that was a decision where, like, I guess I'm going to have to learn the mount because now they're stopping the twister.
My idea was once you did what you did well, you will gain more confidence, and you feel the need of more. And I was right on the path. Once you did so well, your unique game, you feel the need for more.
Yeah. Nobody has ever had more confidence in me than Joe Rogan and Jacques Machado. Joe Rogan the things he's done for me in my life, the way he muscled me in and got me the job at Comedy Central as a writer. I mean, what he did, is amazing. He's done so much for me. But Jean-Jacques, the kind of confidence that you've had for me, man, and one of the greatest stories, for me personally, one of my favorite stories is it was a tournament that I decided to go. I would gas out at finals and get really tired at finals in some tournaments I was competing in. So I thought, okay, this time I'm not going to go for the kill. I'm just going to get some points, conserve my energy, get some points on the next match, conserve my energy, and then in the finals go off. That was my strategy. I didn't have any cardio. So the first match, I get a guy in spiderweb. I swept him having spiderweb. I remember the guy too. I remember exactly how he looks at headgear. He's a wrestler. You probably went with him too. He's a wrestler. He's in the circuit. And I had him in spiderweb. I got the points for some kind of sweep or some old schooled him. And then I'm sitting there, and I didn't even try to finish him. I had him in spiderweb for like 3 minutes, and I go, I'm not going to. They're like, finish him. I'm like, I'm going to save my energy. I'm going to stick to my strategy. Next match, I go against Johnny Ramirez. I got an advantage because I was in top half. He pulled guard. First fight ever. I'm on top. First fight. I didn't even think there was a fight like that. Oh my God, there is. There's a fight where it starts off where I'm on top. And he pulled guard. So I got the advantage, and I just sat there and I held him, and I didn't do nothing. I go, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try to conserve my energy. Everyone else is doing it. I've been gassing out trying to put people in twister. And then I got to the finals. And the guy that I was going against, his coach was Bob Bass. And his coach used to train with you. So Bob Bass is like a student of yours in Hickson. He opened up his own school, and now his student is going against your student. So it's Bob Bass coaching his student and Jean-Jacques coaching me. The only thing is Jean-Jacques was the ref. We're about to start the finals, and Jean-Jacques the ref. So we're looking around like, I think it's kind of crazy. And Jean-Jacques, let's go. And Bob Bass goes, you could stop. We can't do this, Jean-Jacques. This is ridiculous. And Jean-Jacques goes, oh, okay, you're right. This match doesn't need a referee. He sits down next to Bob Bass. He sits down and goes, go ahead, no referee. My boy's going to take your boy's right arm. Watch this. And I'm standing there listening to this going, oh my God, I'm under the most pressure ever. Can you imagine the pressure? I don't know if that's ever happened before. I don't know. Maybe that's something they do in Brazil. I don't know. Has someone ever done that before? You sat down, and thank God. I don't know what pushed me. I think I didn't have a choice to freeze up. I don't think I had a choice. I think the only choice I had was I better get this thing.
I used to see you training. I used to see you train every day.
You knew for a while before rubber guard came in, it was the reason the rubber guard flourished is because me and Todd White, we loved that right arm. We loved to isolate, lock that shoulder, take away the escape route, and take that right arm. I never went for the left arm. I go, I'm going to take the right arm. And Jean-Jacques knew that. I always go to the same arm. Todd White, always go to the same arm. Now I go to the other arm a lot, more than ever before in my life. I'm all over that other arm. New stuff, new developments, and man.
But what happened? Did you get the guy's arm?
I got his arm, and there's a picture of it. There's actually a picture. I think it may be in one of my books where if there's a picture of me in spiderweb doing the arm bar, That's the one that Jean-Jacques called. It was incredible. And another time too. This one is not as incredible, but it was also as a purple belt. It's online on YouTube, and it says Eddie Bravo versus Joe Moreira, and that's not true. I never went against Joe Moreira. It was Joe Moreira's student, some Brazilian guy, and Jean-Jacques wasn't the ref, but he sat next to Joe Moreira, and he did the same thing. He likes Jean-Jacques is a legend, and he has so much integrity. But man, he does stuff like this, and like it puts you on the spot. It's like, how much confidence does he have in me? He told Joe Moreira, he goes, "Tell your boy to defend his right arm." So Joe Moreira was confused. He didn't know. He's like, "Is this a trick? This has got to be a trick." And he's telling him, "Tell your boy to defend his right arm." And I got his arm again, man. So I'm thinking, man, when he puts the pressure on, it's like you have no choice. You have to perform, because there have been plenty of matches, where I froze. And you know what? Most of the time you weren't there, I did freeze. A lot of the times, if you weren't there, I did freeze. There was a lot of times like that.
It's probably me screaming.
It's in a way when you go to an event or a tournament, every day on the process of training to get ready, it's important to have a team. People surround you, and I know how important it is to play not only the physical game but the mental game, which you have to be ready for.
Yeah,
because you can be physically 95%, but mentally, if you're not there,
I had some serious issues with nerves. I remember Todd White telling me when he was like, before he started, he goes, "I can't do this. I can't move. I'm so weak." There was one. Remember one of those times?
Yeah,
Todd White was like, "I can't do this. I can't even move my arm. I'm weak.
Yeah.
I'm frozen. I can't." I go, "You
look,
can do this. You can do it."
Everyone, when they
that.
sit outside waiting for the competition, a lot of guys, they go like, "Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Why am here and doing that? Going
I've
through
done
all
that.
this
Yeah.
torture, emotionally roller
Yeah,
coaster.
For what?
Why I'm doing
For the
that?
glory of the win. Damn it, it makes
I
it
don't
worth
think
it.
and then you start looking to the other guy. Man, that guy is strong. Has so many sponsors. Oh, he's from Brazil. He must be good.
Ooh, we were scared of the Brazilians.
Every-
Ooh, we don't want no Brazilian. Give me a white boy. I don't want no Brazilian. Oh man, as a blue belt when I competed, if I was going against a Brazilian, I already lost.
And
I got a Brazilian.
I don't know if you guys remember, but I was telling you guys to start putting patches on your gi as supposedly sponsors, just to make sure when you fight the other guys, they look at your gis like, "Oh man, that guy has so many sponsors. It must be good," and you already have the edge on him. And, it did work well in the beginning. A lot of guys like, "Oh,
what was that
man."
Brazilian sandwich shop that used to sponsor some of the fighters? Remember?
Ipanema.
No, it wasn't that
No?
one. No, it was off Barrington by towards Wilshire and Barrington. Remember that spot? He was so cool.
Something Jewish. Emil Renato. Emil was the guy's.
Yeah, Renato's
the
friend,
guy, the
right?
long hair, the white long hair.
Cafe Rio or something like that.
Yeah, I forgot.
Oh man, we loved everything Brazilian. Oh, me and Todd White, we just wanted to eat outside. We saved up all our money in 2000. And like, we're going to Brazil as purple belts. We're going to Brazil. And Jean-Jacques said, "Damn, all right, I got to go too, because I can't let you guys go by yourself." He knew we were going to die. He knew he didn't even want to go that year. He goes, "I guess I'll go." So he's like, so we were just so excited to go to Brazil. Competing wasn't even that huge. It was about going. We heard all these stories about, oh man, all the guys would always say, all Brazilians, "Oh man, there's 11 girls to every guy." And we're like, Americans like, "What? Why did you guys come here? Doesn't make any sense. Why would they leave?" And so we saved up our money, 2,000 mundials. We land at the airport, and Jean-Jacques is there waiting for us. I'm like, man, Jean-Jacques is the coolest dude ever. He's at the airport waiting. We're like, how amazing is that? He didn't have to do that. We could have took a cab. He goes, "Follow me." We get in a cab. We start driving. And the airport is like an island right in the middle of a sea of favelas. As far as the eye can see. You're like on Mars. You're like as far as the horizon.
It's a lot better today, but if I let you guys there by yourself, you end up in the
you knew
place.
we would have died. He knew we would have died. You don't go. It was dangerous to go to Brazil back then.
We might not be here today talking.
So we get in the car, in the taxi, and the freeway, there's a freeway that's higher than the city. It's about like roof level, so you can
It's
see
like driving
far.
through Hollywood on the 101. That's
Yes,
that patch.
and you can see. It's like like you're on a hill kind of. And as far as I've never seen favelas like that. I never seen ghettos like that. I'm like, oh my God, there's nothing like this in the States.
The freeway cuts the middle of the favela.
Yeah,
And you look to both sides, you're in the bad area.
I have video. I have all that. I videotaped everything. Me and Todd are in the back seat, ducked down, videotaping, going, oh, we were shocked. And Jean-Jacques in the front turning around, just like laughing. He's busted up.
That's scary.
And then finally, slowly, we get into it starts looking better.
It's
Not as many favelas. And boom, all of a sudden, just like that, boom, you're in a nice neighborhood. These big ass houses, but they got dudes with machine guns. Like you gotta have a maid and 2 dudes with machine guns. If you live in a mansion, part of your house. I mean, when there's do you have a tower, like a security tower where dudes can watch? You got to build that. That's how they remodel. Like, we're going to build a new tower, so that it's all decked out where you can.
It's better now. Now it's better.
We were at this one house. Where just everybody was there. I don't remember who they were, but it was just the grace. We were on Pepe Beach, and there was a house where the backyard was. We have a couple pictures.
Yeah.
There was so many people there, and we're just having a barbecue. And I remember the food, and they're playing volleyball, and it was amazing. It was like you just see the beach right there, but they had towers and machine guns and shit. So it was an amazing experience the culture shock was when you get to the beach and everyone's wearing bikinis and you're wearing board shorts and you feel homo. Like I feel homo and I'm wearing the board shorts. You know what I mean? It's like, what am I? I'm scared and I look like a little weakling who's scared to show my legs, right? I talked about that with Rosa a little bit, right?
We how about when you and I were in the tournament at that place? Where was it? That like weird. I don't know what it was. It was like a coliseum in the mountains.
The Mundials. It was the Mundials.
Yeah, it was the Mundials, and we were competing in 2000.
That was a bad. I think they still do there in the Tijuca tennis club.
Tijuca, yes.
Wow.
And you and
That's a scary place.
I go to the bathroom, and you come walking in there, and it's just a wall, and it's a wall with a little trench. People are just pissing on it, and dudes are in there stretching.
Man,
and
Todd
I'm looking at you, going, "What the fuck?"
Todd was traumatized, and I couldn't. And I saw the guy stretch on the bathroom floor and pee all over, and that man.
Yeah, that was scary.
Man.
That was scary. But then we went and trained at the Gracie school, where it kind of
Baja Gracie.
We got the photo by the
I
Tasmanian
still
Devil
got that
thing.
one.
And we were wrestling those dudes, and some of their gis were like slimy, and you'd grab it, and your hand would just kind of slip down.
Oh my God.
And it hadn't been washed in so long. And they would train, and they'd take their gi off and hang it up to dry. And that was it. And that's how they did it. And you would grab a guy, and all of a sudden, all the chokes that we'd worked on, everything. I'd go for a deep collar choke, and your hand would just go straight off of it, like slimy, moldy grip. And you'd just be like, "Oh, this is Kansas."
We were purple belts back then, and this is one thing I remember. I remember a couple things about that, and Jean-Jacques and High and Gracie, that story. Oh man! But when we rolled there was a blue belt who's my size, but I was a purple belt and he was a blue belt, and I caught him in a couple twisters. I'm not bragging. He was a blue belt, I was a purple belt, but. Just the fact that he was Brazilian, I thought, I was like, wow, I don't even care if he's a blue belt. They just didn't see the twister coming, but there was like a click sitting in the corner, and there's this big, remember that 195-pound purple belt? He goes, "You're going with me next." Man, that dude just crushed me. It was like he was going to teach me a lesson, and I'll never forget that. He humbled me, man. He just beat the shit out of me right there.
But I got my hand raised in the Mundial.
Yes, I lost my first fight.
I my guy on my first match.
Yeah, of course. I wasn't shocked. That was amazing.
That was awesome.
How did you lose your second fight?
The guy took me down. He got points. Jumped. I had him
He
in
was
guard.
stalling. He was stalling.
Yeah, and
You remember?
Yeah, he was standing there.
I remember you
and
too.
I couldn't get up. I literally couldn't get
Yeah.
out of the guys. He just had me down, and I had him in guard, and he would not let me out, and he'd already got his points. And literally, the longest, how long, when they go, "You've got 3 minutes left," you're going, "Jesus, will this end? When is this going to end? Like, do something."
Yeah.
And remember, you almost get the guy down bar twice.
Once.
Then what happened is you keep pulling him to your half guard, and every time you pulled, they gave him advantage.
Yeah.
Then you
Man,
pull
you remember that,
twice,
yeah.
then you get 2 advantage. Then you almost unbar him, you get 1 advantage.
Yeah.
But for the danger of the match, you almost had the guy.
Yeah, he didn't do anything.
I know.
I pulled guard. I had him at first. I had him in butterfly guard, and my thing back then was from butterfly guard. If I could just get the overhook real quick, Jean-Jacques classic. I'm going right to the sweep. That's what we did. But
Yeah.
it didn't work. I remember I tried to. I didn't do it. I was kind of nervous, and I tried that butterfly sweep, and it didn't work. And I thought, let me just go to half guard. Boom. So I went to half guard. Then I pulled full guard, and this is what happened. I pulled half guard, didn't work either. Then I got to full guard, and then I locked his shoulder, took the arm just like we always do, and I tossed him. He landed in spiderweb, and he straightened out his arm. So as I tossed him, I took the arm, and it was straight, and he corkscrewed out of it because I didn't cross my feet in the right spot. So basically, I set him up in the guard, tossed him, straightened out the arm. He got away, and then he got back in my butterfly guard. I pulled half guard, and he won. And you on the video, I talked about this before. You on the video, you're videotaping this, and you didn't understand the advantages, and you're way up in the stands, and you're like, "Oh yeah, he definitely won. He definitely won." And then when they raised the other guy's hand, he's like, "How did that happen? Like, what did he do? How did he win?"
And no one also speaks English back then, which make even harder for you guys to understand the calls that they made.
Yeah, man. There's video of I put the camera on me like a blog. I'm all depressed and sad. I'm all sucked up and skinny and shit. I'm like sad.
But
Like,
you guys had a great time.
oh yeah. It was. I've talked about that trip so many times. I mean, hanging out with Higgins too. That was a whole different story. Higgins awesome. Every Machado brother has their own unique personality. You know, Jean-Jacques. There's 5, and Jean-Jacques was the soldier, the warrior, work ethic, does everything correct, and he's gonna go right through, and he's gonna go to Abu Dhabi and just wreck everybody, you know. And then Carlos wasn't he a lawyer? Didn't he have a law degree?
Yeah,
His English is probably the best out of all you guys. He was like so smart.
Yeah, Cropper.
Yeah, and Carlos ended up moving to Dallas early. He said, "Forget all you guys, I'm going to Dallas." And then he has a whole empire in Texas, right? How many schools does your brother have? Affiliates?
A lot of
100?
A lot of school, yeah, maybe.
One less when I get there.
Wow. He's got about 100?
Yeah, probably.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's pretty
Carlos
impressive.
Machado owns Texas, that's for sure.
But you know why he moved over there? Because Chuck Norris moved, and he told us, I got to take one brother with me because I want to keep training jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And Carlos was his instructor, and he moved, and he's still there.
Wow. So they became really tight, right?
Yeah.
So now,
Hey, are you aware I'm going to open an affiliate at his school in Austin?
I knew you were moving, and it sounded like you were opening up a school. I didn't know it was, awesome, man.
I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to have I'm
Where
going to take Mark
Oh, yeah.
Armstrong with me to teach, too. To have 2 black belts in Austin's pretty cool from Jean-Jacques.
Nice.
So-
Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Westlake, Austin. Hopefully, you know.
He just
6
chose
months.
Austin because he knows I like Formula One, and that's why they have the race
Yeah.
in Texas.
Where's all your affiliates? How many do you have?
I think we are over 30 schools now.
Wow. Where you want to give a couple shout outs? Like
Canada,
just so many. huh?
Canada, we have Italy, we have Australia.
I don't have Italy.
Let me.
Sydney.
Yeah,
Fari.
yeah, no, not Fari.
No.
No, we have George Adams. We have Mark. We have Brisbane too. By the head, I'm not.
Wow.
I don't even remember.
Sure, yeah.
It's a lot of.
I could imagine how you can keep up. I have about 40, and man, it's hard to keep up. I love them all to death.
No,
but
definitely.
man, it's
an extension of your school. When
Yes.
you visit, you want to make
every
sure.
school is a different family, different beautiful aspects about them, different problems, just everyone's their own little fingerprint. It's like, you know, when I'm going to Omaha, I know that Omaha family, I know the Omaha crew, I know the Phoenix crew, I know the San
It
Francisco
makes
crew.
us very rich as a person.
Yes,
To get to know
rich
these
with
people,
brothers and
to
love.
touch their lives and have them touch your life, and it's a winning situation regardless.
Yeah, man. So a little can we cue up that Uno Jean-Jacques match? Was that something that you were able to find? Mr. Jamois. But anyways, so now as far as, oh, there it is. Can we pause that? I want to get to Abu Dhabi right now real quick. So this is how awesome Jean-Jacques is, man. Abu Dhabi was, we talked about this before, the Sheik did jiu-jitsu while he went to school in California. When he was done with school, he went back to Abu Dhabi and started ADCC, the most prestigious grappling event on the planet. The first year, no one knew about it, so people were kind of scared. So that first year, they were letting like basically anybody in there. Just people were like, damn, go to the Middle East, no way. But then when people came back and said it was amazing, and then everybody wanted to go. Everyone's like, me, take me. So then everybody wanted to go. All top, like Tito Ortiz went back then in his glory days. Mark Kerr in his glory days. There was all these MMA fighters. And then they invited, after like the third or fourth one, they invited Jean-Jacques. And up to that point, man, in my opinion, it was strange because it was a tournament like no other tournament. You had a bunch of wrestlers and a bunch of jiu-jitsu guys, a bunch of catch wrestlers, judo dudes, all mixed up. So, and the goal was to try to submit. The goal was, it was like a jiu-jitsu. It was like no-gi jiu-jitsu. That was the goal, really, is to submit. And most of these wrestlers really didn't know how to submit, or they didn't know how to pass the guard. They didn't know how to work off their back. But the one thing that kept them in the game is they were really good at no-gi. They didn't know how to pass the guard. They didn't know how to submit, but they were very good at staying on top and controlling human beings without grabbing onto the gi. They were very good at that. So then now the jiu-jitsu guys come in. They're the masters at passing. They're the masters at submissions and guard work and all the arm bars from the back. But they were having trouble based on those fights. You could see they're having trouble not having handles to hold on to. So there was a lot of stalemate matches, or not a lot of action. It was kind of, man, some of them early, you got to really search to find a good fight. Every now and then you're like fast forward, like falling asleep watching. It's like it was wrestlers didn't know how to finish against a lot of jiu-jitsu guys, legends, that they just didn't really know how to close the deal or win in on positioning. But then all of a sudden, Jean-Jacques Machado shows up, and all of a sudden he submits everybody in every match in his bracket. 4 submissions in a row. He just rises above everybody. No one knew how the hell you did that. Like, wait a minute. This is what jiu-jitsu was supposed to look like. It was so shocking because we didn't see anything like that before. We were seeing a bunch of legends, kind of baffled at the wrestlers. They didn't have the answer for these wrestlers. These guys that were very good, no-gi, very good athletes. They don't need handles. They could throw you, pin you. They're going to stay on top. Now it becomes like, can you beat this wrestler off your back? And I think Ricardo Laborio, he had an armbar off the guard. There was a couple, Nino Shembri, Omoplata, some Russian wrestler dude. So there was a couple bright spots in there. But overall, man, it's like, dude, wrestlers were doubting that jiu-jitsu even worked. I had to hear it from wrestlers, like, jiu-jitsu don't even work. I've never done jiu-jitsu, and that black belt couldn't even tap me out. You know, they're surviving. So then Jean-Jacques shows up and crushes everybody. And it was because he was already playing no-gi with his left arm. He was overhooking which most jiu-jitsu players were grabbing with their left, grabbing with their right, grabbing the sleeve with the left, grabbing the collar with the right, every day. Grab the sleeve, grab the pants. Jean-Jacques was overhooking everything. He was overhooking that arm. So he wasn't relying on the gi. So when we went no-gi, boom, we see the effect of that. We saw the effect of that. Nobody was even close to Jean-Jacques back then. You know, Marcelo Garcia, he's the new Jean-Jacques. There was Jean-Jacques, and then there was Marcelo Garcia, and yes, Roger Gracie's a bad motherfucker too. I don't want to leave him out, and there was a couple other guys who are awesome, but as far as finishing ability, Jean-Jacques and Marcelo they're the kings of Abu Dhabi, and I've said that many times. So this match here, this is like, we didn't see too much jiu-jitsu like this in no-gi. We saw Jean-Jacques I want to see this whole thing. Check out this display of jiu-jitsu, and you're going to see a lot of where 10th Planet came from in this one. Watch this. Look at overhook. Look at that overhook. Gets the butterfly. Got the overhook. Look at his left arm. You're wondering, how was he able to just manhandle guys? It was the overhook. Like, good luck with that. And Karo Uno, very respected grappler, superstar in Japan. This guy's no pushover. This guy's one of the, at this point, one of the best grapplers.
I think he
in MMA.
surprised a lot of guys in Brazil. a lot of guys counted him out, and he was winning one by one with some big names. Actually,
Look at this
in
omoplata
Brazil.
right here. Look at this watch. Look at Jean-Jacques attacking.
Yeah, man.
We weren't seeing jiu-jitsu like this
No,
at
we
this
never.
point.
We
There
never
was
see
a
you
kind
do
of
this now.
there was a kind of a little rubber guard there. Eh?
Yeah, yeah. Look at that. How often do we work on these drills, guys? Like, ooh, go back for the triangle. Look at this. It's textbook. Look at that. Look at that. Passes the guard even. Have you seen that somewhere before, guys? Look at that. Look at that little twister side control right there. Look at that. Jean-Jacques is owning this guy. Look at that. That's the way it's supposed to look. We didn't see that much of this in Abu Dhabi before, Jean-Jacques. This is what jiu-jitsu is supposed to look like right here.
One thing that I noticed in a prior fight that he had, I think I saw one of his matches, someone took his back. But he used that. People take his back to get out. And I tried to remember, I end up doing the lockdown, the back. Not the lockdown.
Oh, the anaconda.
The anaconda.
The body, they call it the body triangle.
yeah,
now.
the body
Look at that
triangle.
swim move. See that swim move? Boom. Look at that. Have you seen that before, guys? Look at that. Spider Wheezy. Look at that. Boom. Look at that. Oh, look at that. Oh.
Man, that was slippery.
I
Look at
love
that.
this right into the triangle. Boom.
Look at that.
One of my
He's just
favorite
like-
moves in the planet
He's
right
just
there.
he's out of the frying pan into the fire. Another omoplata. Look at that.
And then whip.
Look at overhook. Look at this sweet. Watch. This is just classic. Look at that. You remember that, guys? You remember that one? Look at that. Nice. Man, look at this. See, you're just.
Do you have a game
all
plan
over
here,
this guy.
Jean-Jacques, or are you just kind of rolling with it to see what he gives you?
Evidently, I watch some of my opponents' match and see. I'm not trying to see what they're strong, but I'm trying to find where they're weak. And I saw some openings and I knew that, you know what, you have 20 minutes match. And I said, let's roll. Let's see where we're going to end up.
You feel comfortable because you know the confidence that you know he's not going to get you. You kind of feel that. You know the defense
That's
is
it.
so strong that you go,
That's
let's
a
roll. Let's see where we end up
yeah,
because you're
that's-
not getting me, and
that's-
I'm going to see where I end up on you.
That's a mentality. The moment that you are so confident in your defense, what is left out there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't mean the guy is not gonna get you. That can happen, but I believe that he's not.
Right.
And once again, if you believe in that, man, you become very powerful.
I believe that's an older school thinking too in our
Very
generation
powerful,
because I see a lot of the newer guys, and you experience it with more newer guys than I would. But I just see a lot of new guys. They're so with the internet and the YouTube, they love the finishes and the flashiness that they don't have that foundation that's so solid that we had to develop. In our day, it was all about passing guard, getting past the guard, closing guard, and finishes. That was it. There was no timing. It was nothing. You used to tell us, look, if you didn't finish in the tournament, you lost anyway.
And I think
And-
it's
You're not going for points here, right here. You are trying to finish him.
No, he used to always say he's going for finish. He's going to finish.
And that's, that's like
I know.
Kron's mentality, Hickson's mentality. It's like you're in a race to put this guy out. That's the beauty of it right here. That's why you became such a star. You were
he's
royalty.
if he's defending, he's not attacking.
Right.
Then I'm
Love
safe. He's defending. He's in a defensive position there, and I just wanna control him. Evidently, I think it's a control. Oh, you see now
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if I don't remember seeing anybody doing that until
Body
that
lock?
day.
Well, it's an old. There's old pictures of old catch wrestling. They were doing that
Catch
stuff.
wrestling.
Yeah, they were doing that.
Not jiu-jitsu.
I don't know about jiu-jitsu. I don't think jiu-jitsu, but there it is, the tap. The reason I started putting the anaconda in, now known as the body lock triangle.
it's
The
very
reason I did it
powerful.
because when I decided to, okay, I got to master the back. I got to find the best back control possible. I sat down with Jean-Jacques and I said, when you're on someone's back, why'd you do your legs like that? And he said, man, with no gi, it's so slip. You want to control its hips. And I thought, okay, my main focus has always been like, I want to be good no gi. I want to be good without this garment on. And so I thought all you had to do is say, it's better for no gi, and boom. That was all I did. That was the main goal.
If you lock his hip, he cannot turn to face you.
Yeah.
He basically locked down his hip and he's stuck with you there.
Some guys don't like to do it. If you're not, you got to have a certain degree of flexibility because if you're not flexible, you can't do it or you got really short, stocky legs. You know, Marcelo Garcia, he never does it and he seems to do pretty damn good with rear naked choke. No one ever escapes his rear naked choke. So I always tell people it's not necessary, but I'm going to always do it because I know once I got that in, man, you're in a deep spot.
You make the techniques fit.
I like to squeeze
Fit
it
your
too.
game.
I like to squeeze it, not just because a lot of people put it on, and they don't concentrate on the squeeze. They just think that's enough just to cinch it
No,
on. But
the pressure
listen to their breathing. When they breathe out, bam, make them really uncomfortable. Make them open that neck up.
It's one more thing to worry. You know what I mean? Squeezing the stomach, my neck, my arm. I mean, his mind has to be working in a very fast pace, and it's not always work that fast. At least one time, you're gonna be quicker and get what you're looking for.
Man, there's so. I mean, when you think about all the moves in jiu-jitsu, that it just, man, to me, I always say that you need 3 lifetimes to learn all the game. There's so much, and everybody does everything different. Every top guy, they got their
I think
own
also
game.
in our position as teaching jiu-jitsu, evidently more knowledge we have, easier in a way would be for us to teach someone.
Yeah.
And majority of the techniques that I show, I don't personally use on my game, but it's important for me to, which makes difficult, is very personal to teach someone, is which of these techniques that you know will fit in each one's game. Because the
Yes.
things that you do, Todd doesn't. And the things that Todd does, you don't. And what happened on that is, doesn't mean he's not good, and doesn't mean you're not good. I mean, each one of you do have a very good jiu-jitsu, but in a different way.
Yeah, we both got swim moves down. We like that.
You know what I mean?
Right arm bar. We go for that all the
Shoulder
time.
lock.
Yep, shoulder
those
lock.
up.
And
That
a lot
philosophy.
of similarities, but not the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What do you feel in the 20 years since we've been rolling with you, what do you feel has been the biggest change happening in the game? It's always evolving, it's always changing. But what have you seen from your perspective of that's really changed?
What do you
from
think about 50-50 and Berimbolo and all that
And
stuff?
training with you guys. Today, I can say that I'm training with you guys in a way against. I'm not letting you do it or avoiding them. You guys become partners, training partners now. Your jiu-jitsu now is good enough that is a challenge for me to train with you guys.
Well, that's the
You know what I
highest
mean?
compliment we've ever gotten. but
And
Not
it's,
really.
that's-
Come on.
That's the
play
Does
with
he-
us.
that's
yeah.
the no. That's
Thank you for that,
That's the reality today.
Maybe I last a little bit longer with you now, but you still get me with that, that
No,
mounted
no.
choke. You got
Man.
that front
Look,
rear
man.
naked choke, the front naked choke.
It was a
Surgical instrument?
There was a time that I was able to play anything, and I think the edge that I have a little bit is because I mean you guys instructor in a way that you guys train. It's kind of I don't feel that sometimes you unleash as much as you can because I don't think I'm going to be able to get him, and that works for me.
Baby elephant.
Because you kind of, okay, I think, I
Yeah.
don't think I'm going to be able to get him.
Yeah,
The
I
mental, I have a little edge on the mental part. But jiu-jitsu-wise, I can play with you or play with Todd. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, you can.
I'm not gonna.
If you let me have your back,
I'm not gonna.
that's
put,
playing with me.
I'm not.
That's playing with me.
I'm not
And you
gonna-
could do that, and I wouldn't be able to tap
I'm
you.
not gonna put myself there. I
No,
know,
I
I
think
know,
it's funny.
I,
I
know
wouldn't
the
be able to
danger.
finish you. I wouldn't be able to finish you. Your
one
defense is
time-
too good.
What? 20 years, and I'm how lucky that I'm on the mat with him. You know, every Tuesday, Thursdays, he's
Yeah,
there on the mat,
yeah,
and it's like
yeah.
if you're feeling like it and you had your Red Bull, you're like, Jacques, you want to roll? And he's like, okay. And he gets on, you start going, and he always does his entry of, okay, go ahead, let's see what you got. And, all.
Yeah.
And I never forget, man, the one time I locked him up and slapped the triangle on him, I saw his eyes get big. He went, oh shit, this isn't playing anymore. And of course, peeled me off. But
I
man,
used to have more.
Were you
fun.
worried there for a second?
no, he wasn't worried, but he just went, oh shit, that came on faster than
If
I
you
thought.
let me have a triangle,
That's
you give
the
me one
thing.
M1. I still couldn't get
I
you.
used to have more fun. That's all I can say. It's not as fun as it is.
You know what? People ask me all the time, does Jean-Jacques play rubber guard? And I said, he only plays rubber guard when he's going against me. Because you want to humiliate me with it.
No.
It's true. You never play rubber guard with anybody, but when you play me, you're killing me with invisible collars. He's jacking me. I'm like, oh.
I'm trying to learn, man. I'm training as the master of a rubber guard. I want to make sure if I'm doing anything wrong, he can point right away.
You are mastering the rubber guard. That is mastering it.
Is that the right way to hold, Eddie?
Man, you come up with so. I mean, like you just saw in that match against Carl Uno. Those of you guys listening on iTunes and Stitcher, go watch that goddamn match. It's amazing. You'll see swim moves. You'll see spider web. I like to control that leg, but like you and Rhonda and most guys, that you just want to go right for that arm bar and just start rolling with them. You see all that. You see omoplatas up the ass. But there's stuff that Jean-Jacques has injected into the system that I don't think he's ever done ever. He just saw me doing something in a position that he doesn't really get into that much, like twister side control. And I was in twister side control. And very few people were playing that at the gym. I was like the only one, really. And the dude on the bottom put his arm through my legs. And I would just leave it there, and I just looked at it, and I was like, it's not going to bother me, but God, I didn't really think about it too much. Jean-Jacques said, you have an arm bar right there. And he just sat, and he just made it up right there. He made up the baby arm. I ended up calling it the baby arm, which is a ridiculous name. But, man, that move is so strong in the system right now. It's everybody all over the world. And you made that up, and you didn't even do it. You just saw that it was there, and you made it up, and you didn't even do it. You know what I mean? And I would have never, maybe I would have saw it later, I don't know, but you're the one who introduced me. He goes, there's an arm bar right there where I'm in side control, I have him on top, and he put this arm through my legs. He goes, bam, triangle your legs, and boom, you got that. Boom, right there. I'm always looking for that. That's one example of so many techniques.
And I have to say, that comes out of the principles of Jiu-Jitsu, how the body positions that, as a principle that I have in mind, gives me that vision at that particular moment to, okay, let's try this. And that fit perfectly on your game at that time. I think the key thing is sometimes is to show something to a student when he's ready for that.
Yeah.
Which is our
ready to put together.
Which is our challenge as an instructor. I think I showed that too soon for him, or not maybe too late. Yeah. Now his game already moved beyond that point.
Yeah.
As an instructor, it's a good feeling for me when you find the right time with the right move that make you even a lot better in that particular position.
Some decisions I have is, my students I love them all the same. So when a guy is in trouble and a dude might have a guy on his back or in a triangle, I generally, and I tell them all, I go, don't get hurt if I coach the guy through some offensive move, because in the beginning, that was my mission. My mission was, there's a problem. When I opened up 10th Planet, the mission was to fix the problem. The guard against wrestlers is not good enough. I got to fix this. We're going to fix the problem with the wrestler. The wrestlers in the UFC, jiu-jitsu guys weren't doing anything off their back. And I thought, man, so that's what 10th Planet focused on, is to solve the riddle of the wrestler. So that's all I was pretty much working on. There was a lot of stuff that figure it out on your own, or look at a video, or we're not going to go through all this stuff that's not going to work against wrestlers. I didn't spend a lot of time on Americanas from the mount. We went over them a little bit, but that's not the problem right now. The problem is wrestlers that get on top in Naga and Grappler's Quest. So that was my goal. So when, damn, I forgot my point. I'll get back to it.
No. The whole idea of that you come up teaching is to work your guard better against the wrestlers, which again, it gets involved with so many years doing jiu-jitsu using the gi, which still today a lot of jiu-jitsu guys rely so much the guard, the jiu-jitsu game using the gi. They wrap now the gis around their legs, they wrap the gi around everywhere. I have to understand that is part of the game. But one thing, and one of the principles in jiu-jitsu that I learned is jiu-jitsu is based in self-defense.
Yeah.
And I think the direction of the jiu-jitsu today is towards the sport aspect, which is two different things. I'm not saying it's right or wrong or bad and worst, but if you're going to a fight, I want to learn the jiu-jitsu that is work for self-defense,
Yeah.
which is very basic, but with a very good foundation. Not the jiu-jitsu that go in the sports aspect, which is a very acrobatic, but most of the techniques they do there are not functioning for a fighting situation.
Yeah.
You ask me about the 50-50. I don't know how I'm going to use 50-50 in a fighting. It'll be a situation that I'm too close to someone and you can get struck right there.
Yeah.
I don't know how I can make that functional
Yeah.
in the fighting aspect.
Yeah.
It does work for some in the sport aspect,
Yeah.
but that's something that I don't teach my students how to do it. My goal is to avoid getting in there, but not using that as part of their jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What about barambolos? I love those things. The no-gi barambolo is instilled into the system. We're all really into it. It's a
Oh yeah, no,
it's a nice, beautiful transition.
That's again, it's very acrobatic, and I want to make sure that the techniques that we do has to work for everybody in a way that function for everyone.
Yeah.
A lot of the techniques that we see today are very limited to some people can do.
Yeah.
Not everybody can do berimbolo.
Rubber guard.
You know what I mean? But it's something nice. I think just show that is non-stop of development in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But I think I see two different ways of jiu-jitsu. The one that emphasizes the self-defense, which is the jiu-jitsu that I learned, and the jiu-jitsu that is beautiful in the tournament, very competitive, very acrobatic.
Yeah.
But those guys that come from that area to do MMA, they find a lot of problems
Yeah.
in their games to make that functional.
Otherwise,
in the fight.
you'd see all these Mundial champions winning UFC
Yeah,
belts.
that's a
and
good
you
point.
don't see any of that.
Right.
You know, I don't mean anything at all.
That's a whole nother mental level too. Of
Yeah.
taking a punch and kick is like
Yeah, but you got your jiu-jitsu's got to be ready for it specifically.
yeah.
Specifically,
And your
Then
mind and
need to
body have to be
sitting
ready
there,
for taking
you
that
need to
kind
be
of punishment.
Yeah, that too. That you have to have that too. But if you have that, but you didn't address how the best possible jiu-jitsu for when a dude's trying to punch, you got to address it. You know, that's what we're trying to do. We could be failing. I'm probably not doing a good job at it, but I'm trying to address that. I'm trying in all of if somehow 1 in a million I succeed in proving that my style is better for MMA, all jiu-jitsu is going to win.
Your style's
Everybody.
always used in MMA. What are you talking about?
I don't,
I see people all the time use your style in MMA.
not all the time, but it's just you
It
got to.
takes time. It takes generations of fighters.
Yeah.
All it takes is one guy get down the right way, go there, do extremely well. Then everybody's going to
Yeah.
be talking about that guy. It's a matter of that person that trying to do that has to train well for that. Not just go, I'm going to have a fight and I'm going to train in 1 month this technique to do it.
Yeah.
No, needs more time to make body memory for you. You can do it
Yeah.
with your eyes closed.
Yeah, it's a lot of time. It takes. You got to really want it. But my point was before is when I see my students roll, I was so into trying to solve the riddle of the wrestler that was all about 90% offense. It's close the deal. It's my white belts and blue belts where they know the twister, they know the deep hook transitions, the spider web, they know the rubber guard, they know the electric chairs. We get right into the stuff to what's going to work against wrestlers. I'm not trying to beat other jiu-jitsu schools. I'm doing this for jiu-jitsu. Why am I trying to concentrate on winning against other? The main focus was let's fix this thing in the UFC because the UFC is what brought us all of this, and wrestlers are not even training jiu-jitsu. They're like, jiu-jitsu doesn't even work. I rolled, like I said before, I rolled with so many wrestlers. I know them. They wrestle these black belts, no gi, and the black belts can't do anything to them. So they go, why would I learn this? I go, they can't even, I just punch them. You know what I mean? How are they going to take me down? Why do I need to learn jiu-jitsu? They can't take me down. So then wrestlers became focused on beating jiu-jitsu. So wrestlers go, I'll beat all these jiu-jitsu guys. I'm going to stay up. And my boxing is probably going to be better than theirs because they didn't spend any time boxing. They're on the ground all the time. So that became the wrestler's mentality. So when I see two students of mine going at it, I'm always coaching the guy that's closest to the kill. Because we're working on the kill. It doesn't matter to me that student's getting tapped. I'm not going to help him. Generally, I'm not going to help. That's the way I used to teach. I'm not going to help him out. I'm like, don't feel bad. We're all working on this together. Your tap is making everybody better. Every time someone taps, that means we got to rep on completing this mission, and we're getting better and tighter at the finishing. I never coached anybody out of anything unless it was a tournament. But you know what? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's in a way the tapping out is a learning process. You know what I mean? It's good for either one.
Yeah.
When you get it,
Coach, show me how to get out. Like, you'll learn in due time. Trust me, we need you to tap. We need some grappling dummies here. Eventually, you're going to need a guy like you, too, that doesn't know how to defend. So you get to practice on him before he learns how to stop you. If I tell you how to stop him, he's not going to get any reps with the offense. Let's get the reps in. You're the grappling dummy. I'm not going to show you how to get out. Figure it out. Get on YouTube.
I'm afraid to go to your school. I'm not going to go there. These guys will tear me
Yeah, that
up.
was the original mission, and it's still the mission. But now with I'm fully back into the submission grappling game because of the emergence of submission only, and there's all these submission only tournaments popping. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll focus on that. I like that. I'm not going to focus on the points game. The points game should be for children and white belts. But now that the submission only game is gaining steam, like Gracie Nationals coming up January 25th and 26th at the LA Convention Center. Gracie Nationals, that's the best. That's the best. Everyone complains about the ref. Oh, the ref gave him a point for I didn't even get the sweep or blah 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 blah. And submission only. The way Gracie Nationals does it is the most gangster. 15-minute matches. If there's no submission, you're both out.
Awesome.
That is gangster.
Awesome.
That's gangster, right? That's how all tournaments should be. And when you realize when you go to these tournaments, it's submission only tournaments. It's the only tournament where there's 8 matches going on at the same time, and you don't have to know the score.
The funny thing is,
you can just look, and I don't need to know the score. I know that he's still in the guard. I don't need to know the score.
And the funny thing is, most of the fights don't go to 15 minutes.
No, because there's more urgency. You got to get there.
There's movement happening.
If you
because if I try, it gives you an opportunity to try.
Yeah.
Then if you and then the game is
I
open.
like it.
Yeah.
The problem today is I score advantage on you, I lock.
Exactly, right? That changes the game. You freeze. Like I would coach my students if I'm playing the point game. I'll go, you're up by 2. There's 2 minutes left. If it's the finals, I'm not going to say go for a submission.
That's why
no way.
I don't.
That would be the dumbest move ever. Hold.
You can't blame the fighter. I think
You can't.
The
It's the rules.
Emphasize that.
Yeah, that's how I would coach my guys. I coach my guys to hold if holding is going to get the W.
And the only way to change that is not only if you make a tournament for black belts, submission only. They've been fighting like that for 10 years.
Yeah.
They're not going to change how they fight.
Yeah.
You have to change in the early belts. The blue belts must be changing the rules of the way they fight.
Yeah.
Then when they get their black belts, they fight in a different way.
Yes, it's totally different.
The black belts are already so used to fight, that little advantage in the points and all that. Most of the guys, they're not doing wrong. Just the rules making them fight their way.
It's really simple. If you take 2 matches, right, and both matches are individual championship matches, right, and each match you win $1 million if you win, going to the winner. One is a point system, IBJJF point system, and one is submission only. If there's no submission in 15 minutes, nobody gets that $1 million, right? Which match is going to be more exciting? Of course, it's submission only, right? It's a no-brainer, common sense, because if there's $1 million on the line in a points match, and I get 2 points, I'm holding
Watching
like
paint dry.
a octopus on Anadrol 50.
Oh, no.
I am holding for that $1 million. I'm not taking a chance, right? You wouldn't even take a chance. $1 million, you would say, Eddie, hold them. You got 2 minutes. You're up by 6 points. Don't do anything stupid. You know you're going to get $200,000 of it. You'll be like giving me the eye saying, you better hold that, dude. Can you imagine if I got crazy and tried to do a cartwheel pass and I got up? You'd be like, ah!
It makes less attract for people to watch.
Exactly. That's the problem with jiu-jitsu, because when we were in Brazil in 2000, we were watching the black belts. I already lost, and Todd White won one and then lost one. We're kind of sort of depressed, sort of, and we're sitting there, and the black belts are on. And I'll never forget this. This changed my life, man. When this I was already the no-gi guy, but I was like into the gi because I was training it, but I was like, the no-gi is just, I like it better. And then when we were watching the black belts just like play tug of war for an advantage, I was falling asleep, and Jean-Jacques looked over at me and he goes, man, this is boring. And I'm like, oh my God, my master, a legend, said this is boring. I said, you know what? The rules got to change. The point system, the advantages, that's ridiculous. It's got to change. At that point, I knew that there's no, if a legend, a black belt, is not entertained by the championships, then something's wrong. Something's wrong. Because if you're not going to watch it, The average person ain't gonna watch it, and that's why jiu-jitsu has been for 20 years has been in the States, maybe 18 years, and you still go to the tournaments and it's empty everywhere you go. Empty. Abu Dhabi, there ain't that many people. I'll be honest, there wasn't that many people. Empty. It's still super underground. If Abu Dhabi, if ADCC was submission only, get the fuck out of here. Can you imagine how awesome that would be? It would be so gangster if the Sheik just said, you know what? He's made a lot of changes in the rules. You know, he's very unorthodox and he's willing to change. And the most gangster thing he could do is just say, submission only, let's do it. Man, the matches will look way different. And I think over time, we'll have the casual fan, MMA fans will watch it. It'll be very exciting. These guys are going to be going for it instead of getting an advantage and holding. That's why you go to the Mundials and there's nobody there. It's just everybody's girlfriend and maybe their mom or something. It's still empty. It should be packed. It should be packed solid. There should be stadiums packed to see jiu-jitsu. But the point system will keep that from ever happening because the point system caters to the actual competitor, and because the competitor is the one that's paying. The competitor is the jiu-jitsu event is making money off the competitor, so they got to appease the competitor. That's their business. So when that happens, the audience is totally neglected and doesn't care. We're not trying to cater to the audience. I want to make the competitors happy because we're making the money off them. It's different. If you made the money off the audience, the rules would change. Then it would be submission only on its own. The economy would just make it submission only.
The tournaments is still in an amateur stage of. They should be, and they have the capability to change and make a lot more attractive.
How awesome was Metamorphs 1? Come on, Metamorphs 1 was awesome. And then when they started changing the rules in the second one, that's what messed it up. But they went to judges. That's what messed. If they would have kept it like the first one, that's the most gangster. Submission only, 20 minutes. That's it.
There we go.
And that was a beautiful. It was a hit. People love Metamorphs. Then we started adding refs, and you know why? Because the competitors were complaining. Oh, that sucks. It sucks because I could have beat them, and then it's submission only or a draw. So. They try to cater to the competitor. I think you should cater to the audience member, and if you do that, it's gonna always be submission only. A point system that encourages holding. That format is no good for the expansion of jiu-jitsu in the media.
Yeah, it doesn't make attractive to the media or to get more people that are outside jiu-jitsu go and see as a.
Wouldn't you rather do it? Like if someone offered you a super fight right now and they said, submission only, you against one of the top guys, and they said, do you want points or do you want submission only? What would you say?
Submission only.
Of course, right? It's amazing that there's a resistance, Jean-Jacques. There is a resistance. Jiu-jitsu fans are going, no, I don't want submission only. I want, the point system is better. I'm like, you're a fan of jiu-jitsu.
But you gotta understand that the present generation are used to these type of rules.
Yeah.
Prior generation to that one are used to a different ruls.
What were the old school rules?
Everybody's being educated now to this system. That's why nobody wants to change. They're so used to that system. Back then, we never had advantage.
That's ridiculous,
No
right?
advantage.
It's ridiculous.
And I never heard such a thing, a half guard. Or you have guard, or you have no guard. No half guard. You get in my half guard, you get in still my guard. It's no half.
It's still guard.
Or you pass or you don't pass. It's no middle.
Yeah.
Then you have half guard. Then you have, back then, you have 2 points of passing the guard and 3 points near the stomach. Then they reverse that for 3 passing, 2. I think what I'm being trying to do is, as an example, I do a tournament in my school that everything that you do, it's 2 points. My main goal is to evidently award the fighter when he achieves the control, the position to get the points. But because it's just 2 points, he will never be able ahead with so many points that gives him a chance to stall. In Jiu-Jitsu today, if you mount someone and take the back, you have 8 points.
Yeah.
Man, if you have 8 points, you're going to stall all over.
Yeah.
And for you to get 8 points in someone, if every technique is 2, you're never going to be far ahead that you can relax. This is to try to change a little bit the mentality slowly of how the guys are fighting today.
I want your tournaments to be submission only, Jean-Jacques.
I'll
promote the hell out of it. I'll bring my guys.
We're going to get there. We're getting there.
Yeah,
But
it's spreading. It's growing. There's so many tournaments now that are submission only. It's spreading. This is a real phenomenon that's going on right now.
Which I think is a great
You know,
thing.
I think it's great for jiu-jitsu. Make it more entertaining. How is that? How is not everyone not pushing for that? Why not have like
It's
the
the same way-
IBJJF? If you're listening out there, why not have like a just one division, like pro division at the No-Gi World submission only? Why not just do that? Because you see it growing, you see it's coming. Eventually, that's going to be, the MP3, and points are going to be cassette tape. You're going to have to acknowledge that. So, I mean, ADCC submission only would be amazing. Even a couple matches, because the way the point system is in Abu Dhabi right now, you have situations where you have guys wrestling that are very good at jiu-jitsu, and they're just wrestling because they don't want to pull guard because they're going to lose a half a point. Is there a spider? Oh, I'm sorry. For some reason, I thought that was a spider over me. Now you're with, you got your black belt from Carlos Gracie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now you're under Rickson Gracie, and you've taken Kron Gracie under your wing. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and how did you get so close with Kron?
I think it was 2011, and we always close to Hicks, even though our lives, in a way, everyone's life in America changing the course and everything, but we always want to see each other, and we talk, and we go back to, I ask him a lot of questions, and very close, and it's a very important person to me in my whole life in jiu-jitsu development. And a few years ago, I had a chance to talk to him, and I don't recall exactly how that ended up happening, but since I was more than 25 years as a black belt active, teaching, competing, doing all of that, on our conversation ended up, he wants to promote me as a black and red belt, which the icon of our sport that I grew up seeing as a hero wants to promote me as a black and red belt, and wasn't the belt the point, but being promoted by him.
Yes.
That was the main thing. And I had that, he come up to me and said, "Can you give me the honor to promote you?" I said, "No, please. Can I have the honor to be promoted by you?" And after so many years, wasn't expect anything like that to happen, and it ended up happening. And that was when I spoke to him, and Kron was there, and I got the belt at his academy, and I briefly spoke to him, and going back to so many years, and then I think Kron was getting ready to go to the Abu Dhabi in UK. I think it was 2011.
Yeah, it was. 2009 was New
And I
Jersey. Yeah, 2000.
Was it New Jersey or?
No, 2009 was New Jersey. 2011.
2007 was New Jersey.
Oh, 2007 was New Jersey. When was England? 11, right? 2011.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Then I spoke to Kron there, and we get in touch.
Well,
and,
you were already. Wait.
No, that wasn't. That was when I basically met Kron and I spoke to him, but then after that we get in touch, and I was there going to helping him on his training to go to the Abu Dhabi in UK,
Okay.
and I would basically train almost for the following 3 months prior to the event, almost every day, and I get in touch, and was something that we bond right away, going back to the history of the family, the friendship, that how important his dad was to me and to everything that we do today. And I was able to give my point of view in a lot of things that he was doing and helping on the training, which I think in that particular moment was very important for me and very important for him, that we end up getting together and helping each other in a way. And from that point on, and every time he's getting ready for a fight or anything, we get in touch and we get together and we train, and we train. And during the training, we have some exchange information for what's best, what you think, and what is that, and helping pushing him, and had a chance to take him to your school as a preparation.
Yeah,
for
that was
his,
awesome. Thank you for that. That
for
was
his event. I want to make sure that
Slick Rick was there
Where? Oh,
when
yeah.
when Kron came by.
Yeah, yeah.
and
Yeah,
just
that
to
was-
show that how simple he is, and he's a true champion. And the result is out there. I think it's all his hard work, his maturity that he achieved that today, and the training, all the help, all the people that he has surround him, and he
Wow.
knows every time he has something there, and we get in touch, and you see the result of that training and the whole thing, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, I am very lucky personally, and my whole entire jiu-jitsu association is lucky that we have you at the top, you as my master. It's so important. Like right now, what I'm learning from you, I'm learning more from you than ever right now. The defensive stuff you're showing me, I'm going to lock down my defense. Like I said, I've been just focused on offense and trying to solve this dominant wrestler problem. And now, you know, I'm going back and just filling all the defensive holes. And who better to do that than you, man? I mean, you're in Crone Gracie's corner. He's arguably the best guy right now in grappling. You know, him and Marcelo. And you're his instructor. Hicks and Gracie just gave you your. It's called coral belt, right, or red and black belt.
Red and black.
I mean, this is, you know, for you to be showing me the stuff that you're showing me now in my preparation for Metamorphs 3, man, I can't tell you how valuable it's been. I mean, there was a while there where I didn't come by the academy. I mean, I was just, man, I'm opening up all these schools, and it's just so hard. And, you know, I feel guilty for not training there as much
Eddie,
as I have. I do.
The
I
main
really
thing,
do.
the main thing is you already reached such a level, high level, in what you do, and
We got 10 minutes.
and what happened is when you came in, we have all those questions. We're talking about the techniques, and some of the things that you already mentioned, I already happened to me before, which made a lot easier. But I think it's for you. You define your game now that is so good. It's very few things as an adjustment. Some of the things that I don't think that you did not know, but maybe you did not use because nobody put you in certain positions. But I just felt that I'm putting just a little bit to open up to you a whole new way for you to see or parts of your game that still can improve. And we can improve in every training. But now I notice that you're in such a high level that very few things are bugging you now. And the good thing is when you come to me and ask those questions, I'm also learned that. Some of them happen to me. I use maybe one time, and nobody else put me in the same situation for
Yeah.
many years.
Yeah.
Then you come up to me, ask the same questions, and in my mind, like, man, that happened to me before a few years
Yeah.
ago.
No one puts you in any danger.
Now I have him, and I'm able to use that.
Yeah, man. I'm not just saying that, man. The stuff like all the. I used to just rely on my flexibility to get out of stuff. I've never been known as this defensive monster ever. I've been caught many times, but I used my flexibility as defense for my whole life, and it's really hard to teach some of the stuff like the stuff I did to Hoyler in our first match, the jailbreak stuff. He wasn't prepared for it. It's very unorthodox. You have to be pretty flexible to do it, and that's what I did. I wasn't using textbook orthodox escapes. So now very few of my students had this flexibility, so I just thought, okay, let's just work on offense, you know what I mean? Because if I show you my defense, what I know, most of you guys aren't going to be able to do it. The defense is, I always thought defense is easy to figure out. You'll figure that out in your rolling. And if you get tapped out 100 more times, well, then the guy that tapped you out or the people that tapped you out, their offense improved. So I never really worried about it. The mission was to stop this dominant wrestler. But anyways, so the stuff that I'm learning from you, all the side control escape stuff, man, immediately, for me, because I don't want to waste the knowledge that you give me, so immediately I'm not going to waste it. That night, that's what we do. to spread it to my students. I tell them where it comes from. It's on Mastering the System, video camera. I tell them where it comes from, and we do it immediately so I can remember it, and I could immediately infect my students right away. The next seminar I do, we're going to cover that. Just so but within 2 weeks, man, I got that stuff that you showed me down so well because I just keep going over it. Like the back control stuff you showed me last week.
The repetition, and I think when you have other people using that and put in that situation, then when you test with yourself, putting yourself in that danger, and you're able to do, that's already.
I want my students to learn so I could watch them and see how it's working, and then I'm seeing how long it takes for them
And
to
sometimes
master
you
it.
don't realize we train jiu-jitsu a lot for our brain because watching the class, I'm watching hours of DVD every day when I teach the class. I mean, they're watching what Todd is doing. It's like, man, he did a good movie there. And I have to say I'm pretty good
right.
at that. I watch you do a technique. I get your technique, and I kind of do a little makeup.
Don't steal my stuff.
I do a little makeup, and I give back to you. It's like, man, that's a cool move.
Yeah.
But it was a technique that you did. And I'm just
now it comes out.
See? I'm just giving back to you in a different format.
Really, at this level of your career in life, that's really where you have to be at now. You have to kind of just absorb everything you have in your arsenal. You watch what's happening, and you go, that's a really interesting move he's doing, but it would probably work better if he did A, B, C, D here.
It's with the higher levels of my students now, it makes it a lot easier for me in a way because it's just like one pinpoint that I can mention in your game. You already speak the same language that I do.
Yeah.
The beginning was
Example here.
Exactly. See,
Yeah.
the beginning was hard because the way I see it, you guys did not have the same vision, which today we all see the same way. Then when I mention something to you, you right away like, oh, I got it. Going back a few years, like, man, I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
That's happened to me too. I've showed someone some stuff, and they go, "Dude, you showed me that," and I thought, "Really? I don't remember that. I did that." He goes, "Yeah." I go, "You sure? I showed it to you. Come on." There was Ghazi Parman comes up to me one day, and she goes, "Oh my God, I learned your choke. It's so awesome. It's amazing." And I thought, "Oh, cool.
Show me.
I go, I have a choke? Did I invent a choke? I don't recall ever inventing a choke. And I go, which one? She goes, the Bravo choke. And there's a choke called the Bravo with a B, and it's a darce, really. It's just a darce, but some Brazilians call it the Bravo choke, and some Americans think that's my choke.
Pretty funny.
Yeah, so I should just take that and run with it, man. You know what I mean?
Don't talk about it here.
And, there's people out there that go, they're really smart people. They go into a jiu-jitsu class, and they could be lawyers, they could be brilliant, and then they ask their teacher, what is this 10 planet stuff? And one of their instructors goes, oh man, this guy, he rips off techniques. Look at that. That's a wrestling move. You wrestled, right? He goes, yeah. I goes, what is that? He goes, that's a guillotine. He goes, yeah, he calls it the twister. So there's a lot of people out there that think that I called it the twister when it was you and Higgin who called it the twister because the guilotine already existed.
I as an instructor,
and I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm like, it wasn't me.
You have your format, your way of teaching someone, and evidently, I think each one has your own vision. How can I make easier that my student will understand, and how can I not only make easier but related that to me, because you're the one showing. Then a lot of the techniques that people come up to me, they come up with their names, and I don't know what that means until they show me the technique.
Yeah.
But as a teaching method, the things that you do having the name, it makes a lot easier for someone to understand. You just say one word, they already got it.
Me and Denny could talk on the phone about all the stuff.
You don't have to go and
show them. Like, that one move where you put your elbow and...
There we go. They already know. Yeah. And as a teaching, it's a lot easier to break down.
I am very honored to have you coaching me for this rematch that's coming up, and it's coming up soon.
Let's do it, man. I'm excited.
I can't believe that I'm so
excited.
So lucky.
Let's make a repeat.
You got any? I think we're almost out of time. We got time for plugs. We got time for a couple plugs. You have any seminars coming up?
My friend, I'm very happy to be here. That's all I can say.
That's it? No, okay. That's a beautiful thing.
Very happy to be here.
Todd White?
Yeah, let me plug my site. Check me out at toddwhite.com.
Amazing artist.
And check into my Todd White Art Project, where I give school supplies, art supplies to underfunded public schools around the United States. And you can see the videos at artofwhite.com.
Slick Rick.
Yo.
Anything you want to plug in? Slick Rick is he's the one who created the 10th Planet 411 app. It's free. That's the app where we're loading everybody who's officially ranked in 10th Planet. They have to be on that 10th Planet app. So how do they contact you? If you're 10th Planet, if you're going to 10th Planet school, you want to be officially ranked where you're on an app. It'll tell you the lineage, what school you came from, where did he come from, and all the lineage, the whole 10th Planet lineage to Jean-Jacques. How do they get a hold of you, Rick?
You can go onto the 10th Planet forum, 10thplanetjj.com, and on there's like a rankings thread, and you just say, I'm, Joe Smith. I'm under, somebody I just got.
They can't email you? Okay. No, it's better than to go to the forum. Go to the forum, the Nibiru forum.
Yeah.
I'm on there every day. You want to mingle with the 10th Planet Brotherhood. We're on that Nibiru forum every day. Rabu Dhabi, what you got going? Talking to the mic.
10thplanetjj.com/techniques. That's a mastering system the show me and Eddie put together. And that's about it. I want to thank Joe. We were sitting in front of a dead laptop, and we were down in flames. And
Yeah, Joe's the man.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Joe
Joe.
pulled it out.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he's always been super cool to me, too.
I'm at January 25th. I'm at 10th Planet Sherman. That's an hour outside of Dallas. So if you live in Texas, January 25th, I'm going to be out there with Michael West. February 8th, Decatur, Alabama. Jean-Jacques was with Brandon McCaffrey. Remember? He told me that story of how all the power went out and all that stuff. He said you had such an influence on his son. You told his son that he would be a legend one day. So his son goes around thinking he's going to be a legend when he grows up. It's awesome.
Will, man. He will.
That's February 8th in Decatur, Alabama, 10th Planet Decatur. February 22nd, I'm going to be in Phoenix with John Botello. For more information on these seminars, there's a bunch coming up. I'm also going to 10th Planet Beaumont, which is a new school opening up. I'm going to be in Vegas in April, not at a 10th Planet school. I'm going to be at a Krav Maga school in Vegas. And then Rochester's coming up in June, and then Omaha. I moved Omaha. We were supposed to do Omaha this weekend, but next weekend we moved it to May or something. That's all coming up, though. For more information, just go to the Nibiru forum. That's where all the seminars are listed on that forum. There's over 40 10th Planet Academies worldwide. Go to 10thplanetjj.com, click locations. We got 4 in Canada, 5 or something in the UK, a whole gang load in the United States. We got 10th Planet Melbourne, Frank Barca out in Melbourne. Sydney's going to be coming up eventually. London is about to pop open.
Man, you're busy, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
Busy
nuts.
guy.
I personally teach at 10th Planet headquarters in downtown LA, located inside the Tap Out Training Center. We also have wrestling classes taught by Rob Rodriguez, who wrestled at the University of Wisconsin. He's also the head coach of our MMA team. Email me for class information and pricing and scheduling at eddie@10thplanetjj.com. If you have my other email, that still works too, but the new one that I'm going to be pushing is eddie@10thplanetjj.com. We also have capoeira classes to develop ultimate balance, athleticism, which translates beautifully into jiu-jitsu. Capoeira every Saturday at noon. The classes are packed. It's amazing. I'm pushing all my guys to do capoeira. Eventually, we'll have breakdancing classes and yoga as well, if everything goes right. I want all that stuff, man. You know me, breakdancing. I'm a firm believer of all that stuff. Again, email me, eddie@10thplanetjj.com. Also, click techniques if you want to learn the system. It's really cheap. Mastering the system, what Rob was talking about. 10 Planet 401 app. Also, get on my SoundCloud if you want to download my new mixtape. It's called Hook Thieves, Eddie Bravo, or soundcloud.com/Eddie-Bravo. Thank you. Good night. Thank you for Todd White, my master. I'm so looking forward to training. And by the time me and Hoyler rematch, man, I plan to be untappable, and you're the man that's going to make that happen. I firmly believe that.
Man, you're already there, man. You're already there.
No, that's not true. I got tapped the
You're
other night.
already
I got
there.
caught in a triangle. Casey Halstead got me, so that's not true.
Okay.
I slipped. Also, Gio got me not too long ago either. He got me in an arm triangle. God damn it.
You also, Eddie, can I mention the GoFund for Yuck Nasty?
Yes,
Yuck
go for
Nasty,
that. Go for that.
It's GoFundMe.com/Yuck Nasty. They're raising money for a dude whose apartment burned down and all his kids.
Yes, he's a rapper. He's a death squatter. Also, the Death Squad community is so damn strong. We're all coming together to help Yuck Nasty. And also, anybody in you go to any 10th Planet location worldwide, go on 10thplanetjj.com and click on locations. We got over 40 worldwide. Go to any 10th Planet School. Tell them you're a death squatter, and you'll get the first month free. Free 30-day trial. Make it happen, guys. And that goes for all 10 Planet Schools. Thank you very much, Joe Rogan again. Jamie, you're the man. Without you, none of this would happen. If you would have been on a date with 2 Playboy Playmates at the same time, this wouldn't have been happening. You'd be like, Joe, are you kidding me? I got 2 Playboy Playmates. We're in the jacuzzi. Are you kidding me? It wouldn't have happened. Thank God that didn't happen. And thank God the show is safe. I really believe this is some crazy cosmic gathering. I really believe that, and that's no joke, man. John Jock is just a magnet of positive. Yeah.
Hey,
exactly.
thank you, Eddie, for inviting me, man. I
Dude,
appreciate
thank
being a part of this.
Thank you, dude.
A little bit
I
of
love you,
history.
man. I love it. Good night, guys. Yeah. Hey, Todd, I want to apologize.